Good evening and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council. I now call this meeting to order on August 15th at 6 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by myself. And the invocation, please remain standing for the invocation, which will be given today by Pastor Mark Oriana of Victory Outreach Church. You would please join me in the pledge to our flag, right hands over our hearts. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor Mark.
Thank you, everyone. Today I have the privilege of doing the invocation, and I'm called to memory a scripture found in Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plan to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." And today I know that all of us are here to, city concerns, city needs, decisions that have to be made. And it's laid upon the shoulders of many people here tonight. But I do know one thing, that as long as we put the Lord at the center of it, He will cause us to prosper. He will prosper our city, and along with it, everybody here, within our city, to make a better Moreno Valley. Let's pray. Father, this evening, we just want to thank you. We just want to give you all the glory for this meeting that's taking place. May you be here at the center as we seek you, Lord, as we're trying to make decisions, as we're trying to come together and to do the best for our city. May you give us wisdom. May you give us counsel, Lord. I pray that you come and quicken us and help us, oh Lord my God, as we seek the best interests for your people. And today we pray for your blessings over this meeting in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invocation. Once again, Pastor Mark Oriana of Victory Outreach Church. Thank you so much. Now it is time for a roll call. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Vaca, Santa Cruz.
Here.
Councilmember Marcus.
Here.
Councilmember Bernard.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Delgado.
Here, ma'am.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Staff introductions, please.
Jane Halstead, City Clerk.
Patty Rodriguez, Senior Deputy City Clerk.
Stephen Quintanilla, Interim City Attorney.
Mike Lee, City Manager.
Brian Mohan, Assistant City Manager, Chief Financial Officer, City Treasurer.
Melissa Walker, Director of Public Works.
Jeremy Bubnick, Director of Parks and Community Services.
Ken Reichel, Chief of Police.
And Jesse Park, Fire Chief.
Good evening, staff. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being here with us. A reminder that the city is currently offering Spanish translation services if anyone is interested in this feature. La ciudad actualmente ofrece servicios de traducción al español. Si alguien está interesado, por favor, nos avisan. Before we hear public comments this evening, I ask and encourage everyone participating to keep their comments respectful toward others and toward those speaking at the podium. I embrace and support the First Amendment right to free speech, including everyone's right to speak at this meeting and to share their views about issues concerning our city. But we can be more productive by being civil and respectful toward one another in this meeting. Finally, I ask that speakers bear in mind that comments will be limited for each speaker, and I encourage everyone to refrain from duplicating comments already made by others, other than to note that you agree or disagree with the prior comments. In order to preserve the meeting decorum, Council and staff will not respond during public comments. Any council comments or questions to staff may be addressed during the council closing comments. This brings us now to public comments on matters not on the agenda under the jurisdiction of the City Council. And a reminder that each speaker will be allotted an equal amount of time, usually it's 3 minutes per person, to comment on any and all items which are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Madam Clerk, how many requests do we have to speak here this evening?
What are those?
And this is for non-agenda items.
This is for non-agenda. We've got 8. So far, we have 8.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We can go ahead and call up the first 3 speakers, and we will give 3 minutes per speaker.
Okay. The first 3 speakers are Russell Schaefer, Randolph Munoz, and Bob Palomares.
What Ulysses Cabrera did during his summer vacation. At Juneteenth celebration, Cabrera decided to taunt a Moreno Valley family as they are eating. Then Cabrera insists that he was the one who was assaulted. On July 4th, during the city parade, he acts like a child again by throwing candy from the truck he was riding on towards a Moreno Valley resident who was jogging. The resident shoots a finger at Cabrera. Cabrera can't let it go, so next he insists police go after the resident. Because he fears for his life, he believes the jogger has a gun. The police find jogger, and of course, there is no gun. During July 4th, FunFest VIP area had extra security, I'm sure, at Cabrera's demand. I guess he really needs to play the victim hard. This was an insult to attendees and waste of city funds. Special meeting called on July 9th. Cabrera shows again how immature he is. He is angry and sounds like a big baby, exclaiming, "I'm the mayor." He believes the meeting was not legal, but it just shows that the mayor, he does not know the rules. The meeting was called by majority of council members who follow the rules. On July 28th, you post all over social media about a raffle to help local organizations to get a grant. Seems innocent enough, but why would you use the word raffle? Don't you know you're not allowed to use the word? I hope you had a permission to use the city merchandise for prizes. Recently, Cabrera gladly spoke to Press Enterprise about his fear for his life and the safety of family, plus the filing of restraining orders against a resident. Any mature person would know it's not a good idea to talk to the press. You made the city look stupid again, Cabrera. What are you going to do for the city besides taking credit for other people's work and making sure you're at every single photo opportunity? In my opinion, a methodical, narcissistic sociopath would think of these things. Thank you and have a nice day.
The next 3 speakers are Randolph Munoz, Bob Palomares, and Jerry Sherrar.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity to be heard. My name is Randolph Munoz. I am a current Moreno Valley property owner and tax-paying resident in good standing for over 35 years. I have an investment property in Moreno Valley that is presently being rented. This July, I received by mail 2 citations as property owners against my investment property, both citations for possession of fireworks and noise violation, each at $2,000 per citation. I am a law-abiding disabled senior citizen and understand the dangers of irresponsible acts using fireworks can cause. One of the citations was dismissed. I requested a hearing on the second still active citation. Both citations were given on the same date, a minute apart. To the best of my knowledge, the residents did not receive by mail or in-person notice of citations. I requested all photos and video per citation. Drone photos pertaining to one of the citations was dismissed. Video pertaining to active citation shows fireworks on public street and both persons shown on opposite curbside, not on my property. To the best of my knowledge, residents had no knowledge of incident pertaining to violations. I was given a verbal notice that I will be granted a Zoom hearing on September 27th. I have not received letter confirming Zoom hearing yet. This has caused me great anxiety and unfair worry and potential financial hardship. I am pleading for fairness and justice. I am innocent of any participation to these citations given to me. Thank you all for listening. I hope for a positive resolution. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Bob Palomares, Jerry Sherrar, and Daryl Terrell.
Good evening, Council. I always like to start off by thanking our fire and police. Always thank you, gentlemen. I want to talk a little bit about the July 9th special meeting. Mayor's always talking about transparency. There was absolutely none at that meeting. The good people that were here to for those $10 million, that they spoke and they said, let's get it. The thing was, they were never told the truth, that SBX was never gonna qualify at all. They already knew that. There was nothing but a waste of time and effort by city staff regarding that application for those $10 million. Peyton went on a couple of days later and put on the press enterprise that we withdrew our application. There was nothing there. They were never gonna get it. That's just the way it is, but they drug all these people over here and had them believe that they were getting something. They weren't getting nothing, just a bunch of lies. On April 29th, 2023, the groundbreaking for XBX and supposedly it's at the courtyards, that's District 1, I believe. Even the rep of District 1 wasn't there. But that was on May 19th, the groundbreaking. Why didn't they go to Paris Boulevard, to where supposedly their project for the homeless is? They didn't take them there to show them what they're doing there because nothing had ever been done. I mean, the weeds were there, that's about it. Ms. Bernard stated that I'd rather try and fail than not to try at all. If she would have gone over there and looked at it and looked into it, she would have seen that it was a failure from the beginning. It's a disgrace that people can be drugged in and out of these concerns, with this SBX, and then there's nothing there for them. I mean, it's dead in the water. When they went to the Board of Supervisors, there was nobody from SBX there to explain why the project hasn't been completed, which it was supposed to be completed 14 months ago. They said, the city, blame it on the city, which we know that's not true. The thing was, they didn't have anybody in Cabrera. You're a contractor. You should have told them when you had the groundbreaking, you should have had those permits when you were putting a shovel in the ground. You know that. So, they just stood there, and I guess Corey Jackson says, I got my money. See you later. Left Peyton hanging because he didn't know what.
The next three speakers are Jerry Sherrar, Daryl Terrell, and Andrew Silva.
Hello, my name's Jerry Shearer. I actually live in Riverside. I do appreciate the opportunity for you to give me a couple minutes to speak. I'm a member of Riverside Neighbors Opposing Warehouses, and I'm here to speak about the March Joint Powers Authority. You know that there is a draft EIR report that has been released with public comments numbering about 1,000. 99+% of them were against. In fact, there was only 4 comments in favor of more warehouses in our area, especially on the Upper West Campus plateau, and those 2 of them were from contractors. And so I'm here as a member of community asking that when it comes time on September 13th for a public hearing, that you've had a chance to review public comment that I've emailed you, and so is the rest of this community that opposes this project, and that you kind of give us an opportunity to have an alternate solution, and that alternate solution does not involve industrial warehouses. The email that I sent you, that I won't read to you, is about 3 pages talking about how jobs are decreasing in warehousing currently, how warehouse space is more vacant in our area than in the years past, especially now, and how these leases are temporary, including the jobs being temporary. If you're going to put in large warehouses among a community of homes, there needs to be a benefit to the community, and that is not a benefit to anybody. Secondly, related to the project, for 19 months, members of the community have asked the Joint Powers Commission, which two of you are a member of, for an opportunity to have something that is not industrial in this land. And for 19 months, the only things that we have gotten from this is smaller building sizes and potentially smaller building heights. In 19 months, that's all we get. There's no benefit, there's no parks, there's nothing promised from the developer. In fact, they're only required to actually build mega warehouses. They're not actually required to build the smaller buildings based upon the purchase agreement. And again, we feel that we have not been listened to for nearly 2 years in our objection to more warehouses in this area. The developer has had a 25-year agreement, exclusive agreement to develop on this land, and they've done nothing but develop warehouses. They're asking for yet another 25-year exclusive agreement, and governments don't do that. The federal government prohibits exclusive agreements of this type unless they're for mass purchasing, and that's not what this is. And so when you have an opportunity to review the new DDA that's coming forward, I really hope you listen to the community that says, why do we have to have a developer for 50 years building warehouses in Moreno Valley, Paris, and Riverside? Last idea, again, is on the 13th of September, when there will be a public meeting. Time and location, we don't know. I hope you're there, and I hope you listen to the community and reject this developer's proposal, and listen to the community who's unanimously rejected more warehouses in our neighborhoods. I do appreciate your time. I believe you're reasonable. Thank you for your help.
The next three speakers are Darrell Terrell, Andrew Silva, and Juana Avila.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Terrell. Over the last 11 years, I worked at Lowe's, and I've seen the impact of homelessness on our community. I've seen individuals living in cars, RVs, encampments coming up and go, in empty field across from where I work. If you have driven through our community, homelessness has touched every corner of our city, whether it's in encampments or sidewalks in front of stores or alleyways of our businesses, our freeway underpass. However, there's not a city in this county or in this country that has solved homelessness. But the work of our city has done over the years, addressing the upstream causes of homelessness, has proven the situation is not hopeless. Whether it's through a homeless to work program, affordable housing, stimulating job creation, rapid housing program, or 2 county mobile crisis management teams and a community-based assessment team, even with those resources, we have to do more. Our city's 2023 homeless point in time count, which was 77, has demonstrated a high level of need. Remember, the point in time count is only a snapshot on one morning of the year. The total annual number is far higher. That's why we should step up our efforts from crisis to prevention. Think about our medical care system. You need an emergency room for crisis, and you need a proactive medical care, a primary care doctor to reduce the amount of crisis. The city of Menifee has taken that approach, and they both have a CBAC team and a successful and effective proactive homeless outreach team with the county's behavioral health department. According to the county's documents, Menifee data shows effectiveness of their team. Community support for immediate sheltering, mental health, and substance use services, reduce incarceration, case management, and support to individuals and families with education and resources. That's why I urge you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council to consider partnering with the county's behavioral health department in creating a proactive homeless outreach team that is different than our CBAT teams in purpose. It wouldn't be in competition with the Salvation Army, but instead it would help support the efforts of the Salvation Army. And what I have here is a model of how we should do it like Menifee has done. They went to the Board of Supervisors, and I took their staff report and data to help us form our own homeless outreach program. I put it in the public record.
The next two speakers are Andrew Silva, followed by Juana Avila.
Hi, thanks for providing the time. two of you know me. My name's Andrew Silva. I'm your neighbor across the freeway, but I am a homeowner in Moreno Valley. My son and his daughter live just up the street. I'm also a member of Riverside Neighbors Opposing Warehouses. In my previous life, I retired recently, but I did have a front seat for the whole warehouse debate. I was working with South Coast Air Quality Management District, also worked for the County of San Bernardino. So I sort of had a front seat to this, not like your guys' warehouse debate, which I did track. So I'm talking specifically about the West Campus Upper Plateau project, which will be the final development project of the March GPA before it goes away and that land falls under county jurisdiction. I just sort of want to reinforce what Jerry said earlier. If you look at the numbers, this juggernaut of logistics that has both benefited and harmed the Inland Empire is finally starting to slow and turn. I looked at the numbers right before I came over. Container traffic at the ports is down by anywhere from 25 to 30%. You're starting to see vacancy rates in warehouses tripled. So this industry that I don't disagree with the numbers that it's been good for Inland Empire citizens up to a point, but we're way past saturation. These projects are providing low quality jobs that are eventually going to go away, either through economic forces or automation. So just generally, regionally, hopefully, the attitude among policymakers is starting to turn. Like I said, I'm a big free market guy, but when they're bulldozing communities, and just locally, our specific example, when they want to plant millions of warehouses, millions of square feet of warehouses into an existing thriving community surrounded on three sides by homes, it's just bad land use. Even if you love warehouses, it's just bad land use to put this kind of project in that location. I mean, at least your guys' big project is kind of out in the hinterlands, kind of, sort of. So anyway, we just want you guys to be aware that this is a big policy thing that you guys are well aware of. This specific project is a problem for us. So if you guys can twist your colleagues' arms a little bit when you're back in the ante room getting coffee, that would be great. But anyway, so just want to put that on your radar. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Juana Avila, followed by Luis Palomares and Roy Bleckard.
Hello, my name is Juana Avila, and I had been here before. And Ms. Bernard, I'm sorry, I don't know if you received my message on the 10th, because I wanted to speak to you regarding these issues. Anyway, my issues, and I guess it happened to be homeless is part of my issue that I have. I'm going to read this to make sure I get everything. Okay, so I know that I received a letter saying from the waste management, from the water department that you're going to start doing the same thing you do with the waste management, where the landlords are going to be responsible if the tenants do not pay their bills. And I believe that this is really not fair to us landlords, because we do sacrifice and we do go out to get this property. We're not a major corporation, say, well, one or two homes. So this is my list. I said, first of all, the way the waste management is now, and this is what you feel that you're going to do the same thing with the water department, is that the contract was made with the tenants, not with the landlords. The landlords is not on the contract, but is charged and liable if not paid, will be put on the property taxes. The waste company is supposed to handle the bad debts, not the city. Everyone is, landlords and everyone else are paying for the city to hire someone to process a lien on the property taxes at the end of the year. As a landlord, we are already paying taxes for the low income. During COVID, tenants received a lot of free rent, free utilities, free fundings, extended unemployment, and food and everything. As a landlord, we have become caregivers for tenants that do not manage their money or live within their means, and have become, all these tenants and everyone else has become entitled to get all this free stuff. As yet, us landlords have sacrificed and done a lot of things to accumulate these properties for rentals, for retirement, since I will believe a lot of you will be able, the way they're talking, are going to get Social Security. I myself have sacrificed. I used to work 2-3 jobs to get this property, and I become to be having my second home. So, Mrs. Bernard, I did read your what are you doing, which is nice for the homeless, but a lot of these homeless people could do what I did, and a lot of people do that. Work 2 jobs. Nowadays, you could work 2 jobs for $15 an hour, whatever the minimum wage, and get a home. But they choose not to do that. They feel entitled to all this. My home that I have here, it took me 6 months to get the tenants out of there after the COVID because the court is so slow. I spent $60,000 on my retirement. I never made that much money, so now it's all gone to repair this home. And so what do? I have to take it to court. I don't have the funds to get a lawyer. I have to do it myself. I'm not a lawyer, and they keep coming with all this and that. I have been in management since I was 15 with my mother, and the way the system is, it's very complicated. Even the lawyers don't understand some of the stuff you have to go through. So I'm having a lot.
Thank you, Ms. Avila. And if you could, I'm sure staff will make sure to get your contact information as well so we can make sure to follow up with you. And
so if you can give your contact information to them, and then I can reach out to you and discuss this tomorrow. I did not receive a message, but it's okay. Just give your contact information to them. Thank you.
We'll make sure to follow up with you, Ms. Avila. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Luis Palomares, Roy Bleckard, followed by Pete Bleckard.
Luis Palomares, community activist. Wow. I'm a landlord too, and this is really, I gotta pay sometimes these trash bills. Thank God it only comes every 3 months for some of these tenants, but water now? Water? That's, I don't think the city or whoever's trying to do that should even do that. That's out of control here. Now, another speaker, Russ Schaefer, Russ came up here and spoke about a family that Mayor Cabrera had put a restraining order against. I hope that didn't go through. I pray and hope. I don't know yet. I didn't hear the latest on that. But these parents, great parents, their daughter just graduated from Valley View, 4.0 plus, everything. She's an amazing girl. They're a brilliant family. And the parent took her child that was at Northridge out of school. Now she's transporting her to Catholic school in Riverside because she's afraid of running into this mayor. You know, all the provoking, taunting this mayor. His father did it on the Sunday special with whipped cream and walnuts. That day everybody came out on the homeless item. You know, he was provoking my husband. There's witnesses back there talking about it. Well, we're not so petty, though. He said he's in fear for his life. I don't think so. I really don't think so. He's setting us up. That's the way I see it. So now we can't come and say what we need to say or anything that he don't want to hear or the facts or the truth, because I don't come up here and say lies. I say factual truth. I say the truth. It's all video. It's all on camera. So saying all that, this needs to stop. You know, these are our First Amendment rights. Are we going to be afraid to come into a room because we got a mayor, Cabrera, that's unhinged and is scared of everything? Well, then he don't need to be in this seat. You know, our former mayor, Exing Gutierrez, county supervisor, he had a lot of things that they were talking and saying and all. He didn't even flinch. You know, he knows that's part of the job. So saying all that, you know, golly, where does it end? Where does it end? His family has provoked me several times. Right here, the camera's seen it. His daddy and his brother right here when I was passing out some literature about him. I had to call officers out. They came out there, 4 went out there because they were in my face, provoking me. What's that? Come on, let's grow up, Cabrera. Let's go forward now. We are so sick and tired of this petty crap. Thank you.
The next 2 speakers are Roy Bleckard, followed by Pete Bleckard.
I think most of you are familiar with the latest flash mob attack that was at the Topanga Mall of that where 20 to 30 people got, just smashed and grabbed and in and out in the public safety. But what struck me when I was doing the report on that was the ladies that said, we no longer shop at the stores. Because one thing of the safety part of it, of that. But this is my direction, advice to those of you who are coming and saying we don't want warehouses and this or that. Whether you may like it, whether I may like it or not, that is the wave of the future. And if you are going to have goods and services, and it looks like that unless something drastically changed, that's how they're going to be ever increasingly delivered to you. So unless you have a different solution or a solution around this, then I don't know where else you're going with this. Now, as far as the public safety and that, there's been a lot of things, and I'm going to hopefully get with the Riverside mayor who asked to address the vagrant problem and the crime problem and everything else. Those of you who are familiar and those of you not are not familiar with my work, but I proposed many solutions to these. Among them, opening up 1,200 beds of jail space we have in Indio that are sitting empty, that we paid $300 million for. Took us 8 years to build it. And then we have public officials, and I will name them, and they're open to debate. Come on my show, Sheriff Chad, DA Hestron, every one of the Board of Supervisors. Let's have the debate. Just like you, when you passed the budget and I said, you're going to make this community less safe with what you did. First, we have to have a solution to the problem. We have to have a place to put the criminals. If they are allowed to run in our society, we're ever increasingly going to be hearing these stories. And the solution is not, hear me out, the solution is not throwing $4 million or $10 million down an SBX rat hole that's going to make the problem even worse. Again, I put out solutions to this. You may argue it, but what I don't hear from most of the people is solutions, and that's what we should be working on, because that's the only way any of these problems mentioned are ever going to get fixed.
The next two speakers are Pete Bleckard, followed by Christopher Baca.
I'll talk about the property on the north side of Highway 60 from Pigeon Pass to the city line on the west, and all of Riverside Raceway. That's owned by the Duda Company. That was not into the city for over a year and a half. And he would not come to the city until he got a redevelopment agency. The redevelopment agency was promised to fix Edgemont. No dollars went there. Duda Company got a lot of that rebate back with all of the things that they were doing, all that increment money. So if you have bare property and you turn in all the houses, there's a lot of increment. And who got the money? It didn't improve anything in Edgemont, not a dime. But he got all the money, and all the rest of the improvements in this city got it. Go over there and look at Edgemont. Looks just like it was when I was in grade school. Same damn old place, no different. So anybody wants to go over there and see it? Only 2 people since this city's been started that ever wanted to go see what I had to say. That was the city manager and Robin Hastings. Robin Hastings, when I took her through Edgemont, she couldn't believe what she saw. And Michelle, the city manager, wanted to hear about what was going on with the developers on trying to rip off us for money and get things down on their property for free so they could develop it. She couldn't believe that. I took her all around on the East End where all the rich people live, the elites. And we had the same old thing. Everybody gets, but where you need to put the money. I tried to get you the city to go and make Edgemont, with all the money we had, We could have bought all that land back when we got started for nickels and dimes and moved all them people into all brand new houses all over in the East End, paid double, give them free houses. And we'd have made more money on putting warehouses. We need warehouses. I'm all for warehouses. Put plenty in. I like them. I like go out there and look down the freeway and say, how do you like that? I told the city when they got started, you better figure better ways to get out of this town. I damn sure know how to get out of here because when you went to school in Riverside. I went up and down that grade for 6 years to go to school. You didn't have nothing here. And I said, the traffic was bad then. And when Judy Nieberger sat up there and said what we were going to do, she says, we'll make the freeway wider. And I said, exactly. I said, I've worked on a lot of freeways. That's what I do, move dirt. And I said, all it was going to do was get wider and slower. And every day I go by there, I smile because I got my rights. They were stupid. I was right. So what you got, and you closed any of the other exits. Pigeon Pass, you closed off. We had all the right-of-ways to build a superway down into where they want to go. No, you didn't want that either. You closed off Davis Road, which would have got everybody off on the East End to get over there where they want to go. No, you went down Davis. You went down 74 so we can kill all the people in that S Street. So you deserve warehouses, more warehouses.
The final speaker is Christopher Baca.
Good evening, council, staff, and community. I'm here on behalf of myself. I just wanted to appreciate what the young lady said that was talking about the water, and she mentioned about the homeless problem, and that's what I wanted to speak on. The people you see out there are, yes, they're homeless, but they're there because they want to be there. They're out there because it's easy for them to spend their benefits on drugs and on breaking into businesses and stealing stuff from hardworking people. I've observed a lot of this stuff over the years, and I want to commend Mr. Delgado and our police department for, at least, we have a lot more visibility and police activity that we didn't have before. And I've seen a big improvement on that, but it's not enough. I've mentioned to Mr. Cabrera that it would probably be beneficial to put a curfew on some of these main businesses like streets such as Sunnymead and Alessandro and so forth, because you see these older guys on little bikes. They've stolen those bikes from kids. They go into backyards and take these bikes, from hardworking people that probably bought these bikes for their children for their birthdays or whatever, and you see these older guys on these bikes. Also, the shopping carts, those are stolen property. Why can't we get police officers to look at that and see, you're on a stolen bike, you're on stolen shopping carts from businesses, and start with that. Start with the curfew, start, identifying these people. These people live, one encampment, for instance, under the Indian Street Bridge on the south side. Those people have been living there for years. They come out at night to go to see what they can find in the neighborhoods and the businesses. They've been there for years. Who's going to address that, or who has addressed that? These people that are stealing from the businesses or stalking the businesses to see when they can make their move and break into them. A lot of these small businesses in these areas are struggling. Yet we have these vagrants that really don't want any help. They love doing what they're doing. They love being on drugs and roaming the streets at night. And, I don't see no improvement. There's so much money going into the system. I would say stop all this funding for this homeless stuff, build low-income housing, and on another topic, low-income housing should go to people from our city, not from the region. That's ridiculous. I feel that is absolutely ridiculous to build low-income housing and bring in people from other areas. What's the point? What is the point? I don't see that. Now, as far as the funding, it should go.
Thank you.
That concludes public comment, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that'll conclude the public comment period on non-agenda items. Next, we will move to public comments on matters that are on the agenda. If you do wish to speak on any items on the consent calendar, you will have a total of 3 minutes to comment on all items on the consent calendar. If you wish to comment on any other items on the agenda other than the public hearing calendar, you will have a total of 3 minutes to comment on each item at the time that item is called up for consideration. But if we have a large number of speakers on a particular item, it may be necessary to reduce the amount of time for each speaker to comment on the item to allow the City Council time to complete its business as described on the agenda, while giving each speaker an equal opportunity to speak on the item. For public hearing items, each speaker will be provided with at least 5 minutes to provide testimony on each public hearing item. We are now going to move to our joint consent calendars, section A through E on the agenda. All items listed under the consent calendars, sections A, B, C, D, and E, are considered to be routine in nature and non-controversial, and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the City Council or any affiliated agency requests that an item be removed for separate action. The motion to adopt the consent calendars is deemed to be a separate motion by each agency and shall be so recorded by the City Clerk. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard after the public hearing items. So at this time, I'll turn to my colleagues here on the City Council. Are there any requests to remove an item for separate action?
I'd like to remove A6 and A7.
Okay, there's a request from Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz to move A6 and A7, and specifically what would you be moving it for?
The A6 to discuss the appointments and A7 to discuss the inclusion of all discretionary funding. So for discussion on both items, for further discussion.
Discussion and separate action as well? Separate discussion, okay, and action. Are there any other items that any council member would like to move for separate action? I don't see any hands raised here, so we will go ahead and move on to any City Council questions on consent items, except for A6 and A7. Are there any questions? Please hit your speaker button. Seeing none, we will move on to public comments on the consent calendar, except for A6 and A7. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on the consent calendar?
Yes, we do, Mayor. A6 and A7.
And give us just one moment. We're making sure we move the items A6 and A7. I know we have some public comments on those, which will be made at the time when we call those up. We want to make sure we get the right public comments for everything else on the consent calendar.
Okay, we have one, A5, from Pete Bleckard.
Roy or Pete?
Roy, pardon me.
Repeat.
For
It's
A5?
repeat. I've come up here many times and said, you should pull out of the League of Cities. If you want to know why, just ask Mr. Pete sitting back there. When he was a planning commissioner in the late 80s, he went to the California League of Cities, and he came back, and he had a very interesting story to tell. He said it's where you go to get your brains sucked out, and they reinstall you with the government ease. And you say, yes, sir, higher taxes. Yes, sir, we're going to suppress the people. He never went back. These government agencies, whether they be the California School Board Association, the California League of Cities, or any of these other alphabet soup organizations, are working against the people. It has been proven time and time again. And as you should well know, and the staff should well know, you can pull off any or practically any of the reports or anything from these League of Cities because they're posted online. So there is no purpose for any of our representatives or any of our city money to be going to the California League of Cities. One thing, why do you want to commensurate with all the other politicians that are screwing everything else up. So, this latest deal is $1,300. So if we pull out of the California League of Cities, my proposal is to take that $1,300 and maybe we could have free coffee service and water for all the people that come into our council meetings and that, so everybody would feel welcome and, you know, have a refreshment. Maybe they'd stick around a little longer at the council meetings and pick up our participation in our council meetings, which is going to affect our community and make it better. This is the problem. And I want anyone in the well and on the dais to dispute me on this. Please say that and put it on the record. Because if you're not willing to do that, I'm going to pull out another one from old Dickie Stew, Tacit Agreement. He taught me this one well. If you're informed and you hear and you do not oppose it, then you are agreeing with what was said. So if you don't have or you don't oppose what I just said, every one of you, then you are agreeing with what I said. So get out of the California League of Cities, make Moreno Valley and the council meetings a little more friendlier, and maybe we'll have a better place.
That concludes public comments, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So at this time, we will go ahead and move on from public comment on the consent calendar. And this time I'll entertain a motion by the council to approve the consent calendars.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Marquez, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Delgado. Please vote.
Do we have any discussion? Should we talk about the league?
The agenda says any comments, we could save them for the closing comments, but that's also why we pull the items, so if you want further deliberation. There is a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar, and we can go ahead and vote. Okay, and that motion passes unanimously with 5 yeses. That brings us next to item F on the agenda, which is public hearings, and we have none. Next is item G, which is items removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. And we had 2 requests from Councilmember Bacasana Cruz to pull 2 items. The first one is item A6, which is the mayoral appointments to city boards and commissions. So we will first open up with any council questions of staff, and then we will move to public comment on that item. Do any council members have any questions for staff? Okay, seeing none. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak for item A6?
Yes, we do, Mayor. The first 3 speakers are Vanzetta Fielding, Nicole Taylor, and Riley Peak.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I think I do see Ms. Fielding coming up. Good evening, Ms. Fielding. Thank you for being here with us. And we do have several speakers. I think we should be okay with allocating 3 minutes per person. And just a reminder to, just be respectful of everybody else's time up here as well. But Ms. Fielding, the floor is all yours.
Good evening, Councilman and everyone. I come up here in behalf of Dr. Mary McBean, being appointed to the Historical Preservation Environmental Board. Knowing Mary for a long time, and she's been on other boards, she's very knowledgeable about our community, and she has a lot of wisdom, and she loved this community. And concerning all the history that's in our community, which should be preserved. I was once on the Historical Preservation Environmental Board, so I know it's vitally important that people don't realize here in Moreno Valley, we have a lot of history. There's even a book about our history of Moreno Valley. So I'm sure her being appointed to this position would be very good for our community. She's faithful, she has wisdom, she's a person who will attend the meetings, Because I know when I was on the board, I think the people they got appointed just to say they were on it, and we didn't have a quorum, but I'm sure she would show up for the meeting. So I would love to see her appointed. She'd be a valuable asset to our community if she's appointed.
The next three speakers are Nicole Taylor, Riley Peak, and Daryl Terrell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Nicole Taylor, and I've applied to have a seat on the Planning Commission. I had wrote this long speech out, but I'm not even gonna go there because I feel like I just want to speak from my heart. I've been a public servant for over 26 years, San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. I was there for 25 years. 7 of those years, I was in the Facilities Planning and Construction Department, building special ed and alt ed schools for the district. I've lived in Moreno Valley for over 15 years now. Both my kids attend school here. The reason that I applied to be on the Planning Commission is because I heavily believe in civic participation, not only by people that look like me, but I believe in togetherness and in a community. I've seen how far Moreno Valley has come in the last 15 years. One of my interests, and I know that it's very controversial, is building warehouses in the city. But I believe that the people of this city should be able to not only work here, but live here as well. One of the speakers talked about homelessness. We're facing that. We're facing inflation. We're facing, our generation not even able to be first-time home buyers. A lot of us in California are being priced out of paradise. And I believe that the city of Moreno Valley can, move the agenda further to build more houses and have better schools and have better safety. I know there's a lot of different things that, we could talk about here, but I believe my background, my skills and knowledge of just being a public servant since I was 16 years old. I know I don't look like it. But I've been a public servant for a very long time, and I just really wanted to be a part of the conversation. I really wanted to be a part of those sit downs and those decisions that further our city, further the infrastructure. There's a lot of money to build, and I believe in spending it correctly. And I just really would like to be considered to be on the Planning Commission, and I thank you for having me to speak here today.
The next three speakers are Riley Peak, Daryl Terrell, and Jesus Alaman.
Good morning, Mayor Cabrera, members of the City Council, and members of the executive team. My name is Riley Peak, and I currently serve as chairperson of the Parks Community Services and Trails Committee. Throughout my past term, I have represented Moreno Valley's growing population of over 200,000 people. So I want to thank you for all of your dedicated support, and I look forward to continuing to serve our residents and community to get alongside you. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Daryl Terrell, Jesus Alaman, and Miguel Chavez.
My name is Daryl Terrell. Good evening. Thank you, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz, and you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to serve my community in the city as well. I know that we haven't all agreed on every issue. There's surely times that in the future we will be part ways. But I also know that every person here sitting in this room or watching at home loves this city and wants it to succeed. I know that must be the starting point for every debate we have in the coming months, and where we can return after those debates are done. That is the foundation in which our residents expect us to build on common ground. I'm a proud resident of District 1 for the last 35 years, which has played an important role to our city's economic renaissance in the creation of nearly 30,000 jobs over the past 10 years. And our annual average household income going up, and new revenue to support public safety in our parks and community service. District 1 has been an economic juggernaut for our city. It started in our business community, the background of our economy. Entrepreneurs like Manuel Minos of Mino Stereos has been in the business over 3 decades. And through a Great Depression, through a Great Recession and a pandemic, his business represented the very best, not in only District 1, but in the entire city. Its resiliency and his can-do spirit is what this District 1 is all about in our city. And also, you look at the district. You remember the district? That used to be people giving up on that place. But it took vision from one man and his investors to bring that community back to life. And what I want to say also, too, District 1 has been underrepresented for many years. It's time for us to have not only one possible commissioner, but 2. Because we played an important role, again, in rising the city up. And we have been left behind. And some of the most important decisions, we didn't have a voice there. And I think, in my heart, we need to have fair representation. We need 2 folks. If we can have more, that's possible. But it's time for us to give us our fair representation there, so we can be a part of those decisions, like Ms. Taylor was talking about. And that's all I'd say. I hope you confirm me. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Jesus Solomon, Miguel Chavez, and Patrick Barwinski.
Check. Hello, Mayor Cabrera, Councilman, the staff. So my name is Jesus Aleman, and I'm an artist at the Riverside Art Museum. I started a portable plant store called Sucks to Be You, and I'm here to represent Moreno Valley Arts. I'm here to talk about, it's my privilege to talk about Genevieve Aleman today. She wants to be appointed for the Art Commission. I'm really nervous out here, but so it's my job for me to convince you guys to choose her. What's going on is you guys, there's a ward issue where she doesn't represent the ward that she's supposed to. You guys have a limited amount of seats on the ward, and so we're trying to get her where you guys decide that she's something special. This daughter of mine, like I said, I'm here to convince you guys she is very special. She's the kind of person that cares about everybody. She started with just animals and cats, and she's the kind of person that not only is here for her community, but started a community and then supports the community and is here for a community. She's done so much for the art community. She brought people to the mall and convinced them to come. She gathered a bunch of artists together, artists that were very alone. When you're doing art, it's being an artist is very different. It's hard. But you see these people, they're all alone, and she was able to gather all these people. She was the first, she was the person that helped bring the funding for the first mural here in Moreno Valley. She helped with bringing the mural to Sunnymead. So my thing is to tell you guys that she would be like a best tool for you guys. She's already doing it for Moreno Valley, and it's funny because I tell her like, hey, let's do stuff for Riverside, and she'd be like, I'm here to represent Moreno Valley. Like, I grew up in Riverside. I grew up in Moreno Valley, and was like, and it's true. She's only 21 years old, and 10 years of her life is here in Moreno Valley. We grew up in Ward 2. And then we moved to Ward 3. But like I said, she represents Moreno Valley. She's just done so much for the community and for art already that I think you guys, it'd be just like I said, like just a big tool for you guys. And thank you guys. I'm really nervous. All right.
Great. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Miguel Chavez, Patrick Barwinski, and Sammy Luna.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Miguel Chavez, and I am here today in support of my friend Genevieve Aleman, who is running to be appointed into the Arts Commission. Genevieve would be the perfect fit for this position because she has a true passion for the arts and her community. She genuinely cares about making the community a better place. more beautiful and colorful, and supporting local artists. The past couple of months, she has done so much for me and other artists as well, and I really want to thank her for the motivation she has given me to continue on with my passion and dreams. She is such a hardworking and dedicated person. When things don't go as planned, she figures out a way to fight and to still make things happen. I have seen how passionate she is and about her community, and how she genuinely wants to do good. She has such a kind, fun personality and is so easy to get along with. She has a strong vision for the future of our community, and I really hope she's given this position because she really deserves it and truly loves Moreno Valley. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Patrick Barwinski, Sammy Luna, and Deborah Harris.
Hello, my name is Patrick Barwinski, and I'm a local artist born and raised from Moreno Valley. I'm here to represent Genevieve Aleman. I believe Genevieve's passion for the arts and her unwavering dedication to the Moreno Valley community makes her an exceptional candidate for the Arts Commission. Her creative spirit and commitment to fostering artistic expression align perfectly with the goals of the community and the city. I've had the privilege of witnessing Genevieve's tireless efforts to promote local artists and elevate cultural awareness within our city. She has a unique ability to connect with people from all walks of life, bridging gaps and encouraging collaboration. Her inclusive approach ensures that all voices are heard and represented, making her an ideal advocate for promoting diversity and unity through the arts. Genevieve's background in the arts, particularly in the Latino community, uniquely positions her to contribute fresh ideas and innovative strategies to the Commission. Her enthusiasm is infectious, inspiring those around her to get involved and support the arts. I'm confident that Genevieve's vision, leadership, and wavering dedication will greatly benefit the Moreno Valley Arts Commission. She has the potential to uplift our cultural landscape, nurture local talent, and create a lasting impact on our community. I wholeheartedly endorse her and am excited about the positive changes she could bring as a member of the Commission. Thank you very much.
The next three speakers are Sammy Luna, Deborah Harris, and Roger Powell.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City staff. My name is Sammy Luna. I'm a resident of Moreno Valley. A true artist is not one who is inspired, but one who inspires others. I know I am not alone when I say I've been inspired by Miss Genevieve Aleman. I support and respectfully encourage the selection of Miss Genevieve as a member on the Arts Commission. For those that know this amazing, ambitious, artistic, thoughtful, considerate, strong, charismatic, kind young lady, they would agree that she is a perfect fit for this commission. The minute I met Genevieve, I knew she was somebody special. It's an honor to be a witness to the work and effort she has put into the art community and into this city. Her enthusiasm for the arts and her ambition to beautify the city that she lives in through art is so refreshing. The world would be a better place with more people like her. But we only have one Genevieve, and how fortunate we are that she lives in the city of Moreno Valley. If you have not had the pleasure of meeting Genevieve, I strongly urge you to make the effort, as you will not regret it. This young lady and her family have done so much for our city. I would publicly like to send my gratitude to Genevieve and the Aleman family for all that they have done for the city and the region. I look forward to participating and supporting their future endeavors and city leadership. I send my gratitude to you for your thoughtful decision-making and hope that my comments are meaningful in your decision regarding selecting Miss Genevieve Aleman as a member of the Arts Commission.
The next three speakers are Deborah Harris, Roger Powell, and Bernice Johnson.
Good evening. First, giving honor to God. Hello, Mayor. Last time I shook your hand, you handed me a turkey. I'm here on behalf of Miss Mary McBean, and I just want you to know I want you to like her as well as I do. She's a very devoted person. I work side by side with her as an usher at church, so she's a server of man. She looks forward to coming on Sunday morning and any other days that we have activities just to help out. She's dedicated to us. She's dedicated to you. I've known nothing but kindness for her, speaking of her council and how much she's proud to be a part of it. So that's inspiring. And when you have a person like that that's inspiring, you want to support her all the way. So I'm wishing her well. You consider the kind and wonderful person she is and dedicated person that she become a member of this council. Thank you. Oh, I want to commend you. This is a wonderful forum. I've never been exposed to it till today, so thank you.
Thank you.
The next three speakers are Roger Powell, Bernice Johnson, and Roy Bleckard.
Hello, good evening. My name is Roger Powell. I work at the Moreno Valley Unified School District, and I've been born and raised here in Moreno Valley. I'm here to extend my support to Genevieve Aleman to be part of the Art Commission. Last April at Palm Middle School, we hosted our second annual art festival for students with disabilities to showcase their art. And during the month of April, we always celebrate Autism Acceptance Month at Palm Middle School. And I came across Genevieve because she was on a social media site for Moreno Valley, and she was advocating for art. And I asked her to come and just sit and help plan for this art thing that we were having at Palm Middle School. And she came and she jumped in, and without even having a lot of knowledge with people with disabilities, she jumped in and took on the challenge. And knowing Genevieve, she's just a ray of light. I know she's someone who is destined for greatness. And it would be my recommendation for you guys to direct that greatness into the Art Commission. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Bernice Johnson, Roy Bleckard, and Byron Portillo.
Hello, I'm happy to be here tonight, and thank you so much for letting me speak to the mayor and to all of the city council one by one. I appreciate all that you do and all the your support group here, and to, of course, our police department who takes care of us continually. I wanted to come tonight to just encourage Dr. McBean. I was teasing her and I said, send me a bio, why you want to be, but I already know her. And to be a public servant, you have to have a desire to serve, and it's deep, it goes deep. And she has that already. I've already seen that in her. We did the polling place together, and we had to do, when we were doing that last 16-hour, boy, we had to just hang in there. And so we were helping each other, and that's what it takes. We have to lift each other up. And I would like to lift her up before the board tonight, and that you would consider her when you're making your plans, that she has already proven her record of being considerate and loves to meet and talk about issues and coming to a resolution. She wants to call me and wants me to meet with her. And I'm saying, why? Because she want to draw you in, and people have to be drawn in so that they can see what's going on in our city. So again, I won't continue to talk, but I thank you. I thank each and every one of you for all that you do. Everything is not always seen, but we see the results of it. So thank you again.
The next three speakers are Roy Bleckard, Byron Portillo, and Antonio Martinez.
I wonder if anybody knows how to properly put together an agenda anymore. If you're going to put all these on there, each item or each commission should be on a separate agenda item so we all know which committee of that, not this hodgepodge going on of that. I've got no problem with any of the others on the other commissions, but of course we need to address the Planning Commission on that. 6 months ago, you promised to reform and make the appointments of the Planning Commission a transparent deal like we did in 2013 using the model. Obviously, that got thrown out the window for whatever reason of that. So we're left with this. Now, if you don't take option number 1 on my alternate motions that I proposed in an email, if you're going to appoint planning commissioners tonight, here's the deal. Now, it was District 5 back then, but as I said, Pete was the last one that I ever remember in 1988 that represented that area. District 1, Edgemont, and Central Sunnymead have been far too long been neglected as representation. So, if you're going to appoint 3 planning commissioners tonight, you should obviously appoint Darrell Terrell. He's been here, he's been in the community, he's been involved. He actually gives you solutions. He comes up here with proposals. Maybe that's something we need on the Planning Commission. And I said, if Ms. Taylor is from District 1 and says the key word, I'm for jobs in our community, that should be the second appointment made tonight, if you're going to do it, for our Planning Commission. That would give District 1 the representation it needs. Maybe we'll start solving the water problems and the infrastructure problems and the blight that's in that area. And you can, if you're going to do 3, then you can take your pick between Erlen and David Stites on that, of whatever. But if you're going to move forward in this community and you're about diversity, equity, and inclusion like a lot of you talk about, then let's start putting it into practice. Put D1 on the dais. Let them have a voice that they've far too long been neglected in this community. If you want change, if you want to move forward, this is your opportunity to show that we're going to do it, or are we going to play the same games we played for 37 years?
The next 3 speakers are Byron Portillo, Antonio Martinez, and Donovan Moreno.
Hello, good evening, council members, mayor. Thank you, Mr. Delgado, for stopping by last time. And let me get started. I'm a little nervous, so please bear with me. All right, I'm here today on behalf of my friend and colleague Genevieve Aleman to endorse her application for the Arts Commissions. In the past couple of months, I have had the pleasure of working with her, doing painting in the park events this summer for our community and our first public mural that was led by Rosie Cortez. And through our common interests, although we are from different walks of life, I have had the pleasure of getting to know her. She is a kind, helpful, and very dependable person, always wanting better for our community. She is definitely a pillar here in Moreno Valley, and if anyone should be part of the Arts Commission, I definitely think it should be her. And I think she'll really be an asset to the community if you guys do put her on the Arts Commission. Thank you guys for your time.
The next 3 speakers are Antonio Martinez, Donovan Moreno, and Mitzi Archer.
Good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor. I'm here advocating for Genevieve Aleman as well. I'm a working artist, muralist, writer, and I've been doing this for about 30 years now. And in the last, I'd say 6 months, I've seen Genevieve step in, take the reins, and actually not only speak, but bring things into fruition that I think all of us artists have been struggling to get traction with. make them happen. We've had art shows, we've had murals painted. The last time that I was up here speaking, which was, I believe, 6 months ago, none of this had happened. And 2 weeks ago, we were at the footsteps of the Cheech, live painting and reading poetry and playing music. So it's not just it's not just talk. The action is there. Her heart is there. She's got the youthful energy that's necessary to rein in all of these artists who come from all these various backgrounds and can be difficult to deal with. Art in general is a hard thing to organize and make happen, and I've seen her do it repeatedly. Again, we've had art shows. A mural has gone up on Sunnymead, which I had the privilege of participating in, along with several of the other artists here. So I'm very proud to see that what she has made happen, and I would love to see that grow even further. And I think she would be a great asset to the Arts Council, to have someone with that mind and that energy to execute. And like one of the previous speakers had said, to deal with the difficulties that come when something falls out from underneath you, to regroup and continue on. That is definitely something I've seen. So I would just like to say that, yes, I think that she would be the perfect fit and exactly what Moreno Valley needs. And I'm watching it grow, and it makes my heart warm to see all of these beautiful people together now who only less than a year ago were scattered about this city thinking we were alone. So I do hope you take that to consideration and do allow her into the council. Thank you for your time.
The next three speakers are Donovan Moreno, Mitzi Archer, and Dr. Jennifer Carson.
How we doing, y'all? Doing good? Good. All right. I'm here representing Genevieve. My name is Donovan Moreno. I'm sure Genevieve would like to be here right now, but right now she is doing a medical process. Don't want to really disclose everything, but you know. But I'm sure she's watching, and I'm sure she's bawling her eyes out, looking at everybody support her, because I mean she has a lot of supporters, and clearly we want you guys to really consider bringing her into the Arts Commission. Firstly, we all do know that she has a passion like no other when it comes to building the community and spreading love through art, whether it's through her own personal art or whether it's through giving somebody else an opportunity like you see with many artists up here. She does have a unwavering desire to better the community, and it shows with the events and activities she has hosted through the years, like the Painting in the Park, various art shows, the art walk, like many movements that she's been starting out here. And she has, I've been lucky enough to actually witness the growth of her since the beginning, from where she has dreams and manifestation and trying to put everything into existence, speaking everything to existence, and it works. It's like a special power that she has. So even if she wants to, go up there and you guys give her a plan, she can execute anything as long as she puts her mind to it, as long as it's in the realm of impossible, she can do it. And yeah, she's been doing everything from teaching at schools with like autism events, just multiple things that she's been doing just for the purpose of helping her community. And like her parents said, she's out here doing it for her city. This is her city, not even yours, Ulysses. She's not yours. I'm telling you, this is her city. She runs this thing, and but yeah, she's a hard worker, and I feel like she would be a great asset to the Arts Commission. And I know that she will bring more better ideas out of everybody around her, and I hope you guys consider her. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. It's definitely the people's city, that's for sure.
The next three speakers are Mitzi Archer, Dr. Jennifer Carson, and Christopher Baca.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council members and staff. My name is Mitzi Archer, and I submitted an application for myself for the Commission for the Environmental and Preservation Commission. And I live in Moreno Valley. I've been in Moreno Valley for over 30 years. I've raised 3 adult children who went to the Moreno Valley schools and all graduated from college. And and I would love to be a part of the commission. I currently serve as a board member on CCAEJ Environmental Justice Commission. I served as board president for 2 years and now still currently a board member. So I bring experience in regards to our environment, and I've seen the changes in Moreno Valley, being here for 30 years, the warehouses and the housing, all of that. So I would most definitely like to be a part of the voice and the change to make a difference in our community. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Dr. Jennifer Carson, Christopher Baca, and Luis Palomares.
Hi, my name is Dr. Jennifer Carson. I'm a caregiver to 2 disabled elders in our community, and I also work in suicide hotline management. When I was 13 years old, I was dealing with a very severe bout of depression after my father started a life sentence in prison. I received help from the Moreno Valley High School librarian and the librarians at Moreno Valley Library at the main branch when we just had the one. They helped me check out books about mental health recovery, and they also helped me check out books where I could travel somewhere else. And I checked out The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. And today I'm wearing a bracelet that says I check closets for Narnia. And I'm coming to you as one of your library commissioners who all of you have mentored, and I appreciate you. These librarians possibly literally saved my life, and I wanted to give back to the library system. And so as library commissioner, I've just launched a program to teach mental health first aid at the libraries. I'm going to be teaching one tomorrow at the Iris Library. So I'm excited about that. And I've had the opportunity to go to toddler time and paint. And our libraries, they're a beautiful place, very bipartisan, where everyone can be all faiths, all backgrounds, and we can come together and edify each other and grow. And I feel like as library commissioner, I'm just getting started, and I certainly have not thanked this city and the libraries for possibly helping save my life. And so I would like to continue to offer this service. And I humbly request that you approve my reappointment. And I thank you all for your service, as well as all the people here who work so hard for our city. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Christopher Baca, Luis Palomares, and Bob Palomares.
Good evening, community. I'm here on behalf of myself. My comments are my own comments and not influenced by anybody other than myself. Me, myself, and I. The first thing I'd like to point out is when I was on the Arts Commission, our group, including my beloved sister Victoria, planted the seeds for El Grito, Day of the Dead, and the amphitheater. Those things came into fruition, and we can see the benefits that they have done for our city. One of the things that didn't happen was our summer festivals, lowrider festivals on Sunnymead Boulevard, which I hope someday soon that can happen. But anyhow, the point is we have a treasure in our city, and that person is Genevieve Aleman. We cannot oversee her appointment to the Arts Commission, being that she has proven herself to our community. We have seen what she's done to our community and her vision for our city. On another note, on the Planning Commission, with all due respect to whoever nominated and all due respects to Mr. Stykes, I feel he is not appropriate to be on our commission, our Planning Commission. He has proven himself to be against any growth in our city, and that is not what our focus on our city should be. We should be looking into development and furthering, increasing our revenue for our city so we can have better things in our city rather than putting a stop to logical things that we need. So I wholeheartedly oppose the appointment of Mr. David Stykes to the Planning Commission. I see Miss Nicole Taylor. That would be a great benefit. And I can't go any further as far as mentioning anything else, but I hope you take that into consideration. We need, the city needs to grow, and we need to have, we can't have developers influencing our people, our city staff, or anything of the sort. So please consider my recommendations. Thank you.
The next two speakers are Luis Palomares, followed by Bob Palomares.
Luis Palomares, community activist. I agree. Daryl Terrell will be great as a planning commission. We haven't had no representation in District 5. In fact, we need 2 on that commission, and a woman we need. Also, as far as Genevieve, wow, she's an amazing young lady. I mean, she's something else. And she's at 21, look what she's accomplished. What else is she gonna do? Nothing surprises me with her. She's great. And the other boards and commissions, they came and spoke. They sound good. I don't know how much, but we'll find out. As far as David Seitz, wow. He has been a train wreck in the city from day one. Day one. What project or what thing has he ever said, yeah, that's a good let's do that. It's all in bed with the East Standards, don't bring nothing here, not in my city, all the NIMBYs, and all the lawsuits that want to come and throw monkey ranches to see it. All these people. We need to grow. We don't need to be at a standstill. We got a lot of land here. We need housing. We need housing that's affordable housing. There's a housing development right here. It's been there for years right here on Cottonwood and Heacock. That place is great. Their rents are affordable. You go in there, you don't even see a paper on the floor. The grass is always green. That's what we need. We need stuff like that here. But we don't need a David Seitz to stop everything. Everything, nothing's ever good enough. If God came and built the church, he would say, no, it's not. A tire place, a store, everything's not good. Well, we'll get some other people come up here and saying how great he is. So that's, I oppose that. I oppose that big time because we'll be on the train tracks here. We'll be on the Titanic here. It's not a good idea. I get emotional when I think about this because we've been battling and battling and battling. As far as a person who he is, hi, bye, and all, but, as far as what he wants and his vision for the city, no way. No way. I'm telling you, we'll regret it. We'll live to regret it. Here I go. Hillwood over there, they were against that. Somebody said, oh, bring a park, bring this. They were going to bring a lot of stuff. Soccer fields. A youth center that Sadiq's been talking about, a baseball diamond, and they were going to give us money, $30 million, and keep it going, and maintain it. We blew that one out of the water, and he was all involved with, no, don't bring it. It's gonna, one more building. That's all he could have put there. Well, let's put a prison. Let's put low-income housing there. What are they gonna put in that land now? They're gonna build something. Let's see what happens. Thank you.
The next two speakers are Bob Palomares and Lindsay Robinson.
I think all of these people that come up here and that are volunteering to do for our city, their services, I think they're great. I'm glad we have these people coming up here. And Brandon Carnes, I don't know if he's on the commission or anything, but that guy is bright, man. He should be on the arts board, that's for sure. But what I wanted to talk about was District 1. I think they should have 2 planning commissioners. And like Roy said, it'll help that District 1 if there's 2. And we have 7 planning commissioners. How many are women? I think there's just 1. And this young lady, I think her name, Miss Taylor, Nikki Taylor, she comes with all the credentials. So if you pass her up, You blew it. Thank you.
The final speaker is Lindsay Robinson.
Good evening, council and staff. I agree with Roy that Edgemont has not been represented, but the other area is the northeast end of town, where the horses and the large lots are. We had no voice on the General Plan Update Committee. Gutierrez refused to appoint anyone from that area, and we are now stuck with commercial in R10. We had no planning commissioners. We had no council member at the time the General Plan Update. David is not against everything. We have fought to keep our large lots out there because that's what we moved out there. Our night skies are supposed to be protected. There's people less qualified on the planning commission that don't represent us and want to take us down. And that's wrong. You guys don't know David. Talk to David. Ed has talked to David. He is a contractor. He knows how to read blueprints, which most of the other people up there do not know how to do. He knows how to read plans. He knows how to read maps. He knows how to ask the right questions instead of just go along with whatever one council member tells him to do. So to talk bad about David Zeitz, he has not tried to stop every project. He tries to stop what's inappropriate. The Hillwood project next to homes and across from the WLC was inappropriate for that area. He's standing up for the little guys. He's also spoken against projects in Edgemont, warehouses next to homes there. They don't have a voice. So yes, Darrell Terrell is going to be excellent, but you guys made new rules. You know, we used to have deadlines to apply, and everyone that qualified and applied for these citizen commissions by the deadline was given fair and equal opportunity. Mr. Gutierrez did away with the deadline so that he could have a rolling application process and appoint just his friends, leaving many no quorums so many people could not serve. If they're honest, he appointed a dead person. He appointed felons. He appointed people that lied on their applications. Let's keep it honest and be fair. Bring back the deadline so that the terms are overlapping. And David Zeitz is an excellent candidate to represent our end of town, which we have not had for too long. And so these people that are bad-mouthing him don't know him and don't know that he's a fair and honest person.
That concludes public comment, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you to all of our public speakers. So then I'll conclude the public comment portion of item A6. And at this time, we will move on now to council deliberation. If you would like to deliberate, please hit your speaker button, and I'll make sure to call on you before we make a motion. So we have two hands raised here. First from Councilmember Banca Santa Cruz.
Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who came out, especially those that are on the list to be appointed. My comments tonight are regarding several of the commissions, so I'm not sure if we're going to go by commission. But if we are, I'd like to start with the Planning Commission. I know that we changed the rules so that we can have representation. The Planning Commission has 7 members. Over the past, in the recent past, none of the commissioners have been from District 1. Now, at this moment, there are 3 openings. It would be most equitable if D1 were to take 2 appointments. And it would also be equitable and diverse if we were to have, for the first time, 2 women on this commission. Our current commissioner, Ms. Joanne, has been the only woman on this commission for quite a while. And as you can see by today's testimony at the podium, Ms. Taylor is very qualified and ready and willing to serve on this commission. So I hope that you, that my fellow council members up here will see the worth and benefit of having 2 D1 commissioners. So I ask that we promote Ms. Taylor to a regular member position and revisit either the appointment from D1, D2 or D3. And I want to speak on other ones, but I'd like to open up the conversation on planning.
Sure. Yeah, it's a general, I mean, the whole item A6 is all of them together. So feel free to speak on any of those if you'd like. and Mayor Pro Tem is next.
Okay, well, I'll start with the Arts Commission. So I did speak to Arzil, and that is a position that was slated for District 2. When I heard Genevieve was interested and she is in District 3, I called Arzil and asked him if he would mind yielding that seat to someone else in a different district. So I would give up my seat in that commission. I still have one, but it was for District 2. He actually said, and I quote, "I would love to give it to someone that has a lot of energy, younger, someone that has a passion for the arts, and someone like the person you described," which I described Genevieve to him. So Arzil gets a lot of credit for this as far as, and I know that we as a body have to still vote, but he gets all the credit for this because he stepped aside, and he still wants to be an alternate. He still wants to be part of it. So if that's something that we can do for him, that would be fantastic. So I just wanted to, I told him I would tell everybody that he gets credit for that. So Arts Commission. So I do have, Planning Commission, sorry. I do have someone already from District 2 on the Planning Commission. So after meeting Nicole, sorry, ma'am. Okay, so after meeting Nikki and seeing what she would bring to our city, I still would like to have District 2 represented. So it's going to be up to the body up here. So I don't want to yield my district off of the Planning Commission. I would still like to have 2, but I would like to agree with Baca Santa Cruz that Daryl Terrell and Nicole Taylor should be considered, and then it would be up to us to pick the alternate from Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Zeitz. But from District 2, I'd like to keep someone from District 2 on there, but it's going to have to be up to us. So, because I agree that District 1 has not had representation in a long time. So I did have 2 members of District 2 on the commission for a long time, and then one vacated his seat, leaving Ms. Stefan. Again, I'd like to keep District 2, so it's going to have to be between Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Zeitz, because I agree that Mr. Terrell and Ms. Taylor should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. When I got the email that Jennifer wanted to be on the Arts Commission, come on. How can you just turn around and say, nah, she can't be on it? I mean, there was no argument. I immediately got a hold of the mayor and says, hey, she's got to go on. There is no doubt about it. So I nominated her, and the mayor approved of it. So, and hopefully my colleagues will do the same to put her on there. I think Jeremy would really like that. Yeah, he's shaking his head up and down. So, let's get to the Planning Commission. You know, we changed the rules on the Planning Commission. We're going to have each district represented up on the Planning Commission. And unfortunately, you can't do that because it gives you an odd person up there. I would say District 1, yeah, it might have been passed on for many years, not having a representation out there. Ms. Taylor over here, you know, I mean, I agree. She's got what it takes to be a planning commissioner in our city. I really do. Maybe we could put an alternate, Daryl Terrell as an alternate, and have Ms. Taylor come aboard. And then the other 2, leave them as is. And the next time around, the alternate basically, you know, just fit into that other vacancy, regardless of what district that other vacancy becomes available for Daryl Terrell. So that's my pick for tonight. And as for Mary McBean, Dr. Carson, all them, hey, you got my vote. That's for darn sure. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I don't see any other hands raised at the moment for any other comments. And would like to just make a few comments as well. First, want to just say thank you for all of the folks who are applying to be reappointed. Thank you for your current service and your desire to continue serving. Definitely is very, very much appreciated. And as public servants up here, I'm sure we all understand what it takes to be a volunteer in these positions. You know, all of us have different responsibilities and various things on our plate that we have to take care of on a daily basis, but you have raised your hand and stood up and you've decided to volunteer and give your time back to the community, and that's honorable. And I'm so happy as well that we are now in a place where I think all of our boards and commissions have full quorums. That was not the case before. This was one of my top priorities when I first took this position. And now, assuming we appoint all the folks that are on the list tonight, we will have nearly complete boards and commissions across the board. Almost all of the seats would be filled. There would still be some vacancies, but for the most part, we would have full commissions, which is amazing. And I want to thank my colleagues up here for helping to bring that to fruition, because it's not easy to get the word out and get folks to apply and get folks to stand up. So we've done a lot of good work here. And again, I appreciate all the applicants and all the new applicants as well. Definitely Dr. McBean, she's not here anymore, but anyone who's been here for a couple years knows how involved she's been and how instrumental she is to the community, especially in District 1 in the Edgemont area. You heard folks talk about Ms. Genevieve Aleman with the arts and the arts community, and you heard from her parents and several of her colleagues as well. I can 100% attest to everything that they said because I've had the chance to work with her as well, whether it's the mural at the college with Rosie Cortez or the Moreno Valley mural over on Robert's Fine Art and Framing. Or I also have to give her credit. One of the items on our agenda was the Inland Corpse Grant. She actually put that on my radar. Sent that to me, and we were awarded, I believe it was about $75,000. So she's out there doing the work, hands down. And I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem Delgado specifically for nominating or being okay with her nomination, because I also did talk to Mr. Arzel, and he did reapply, but he told me the same thing when I interviewed him. He said, hey, look, I would love to continue serving, but if there's someone else, someone younger with fresh ideas and energy that wants to serve, please, I will move aside. I will humble myself and please appoint that other person. And that was exactly the case. And so 100% support Genevieve as well. And the same goes across the board for everybody else. So now to the Planning Commission specifically, as has been said already and hopefully is pretty clear by now, that several months ago, the council changed the rules for making nominations and appointments to the boards and commissions. And so each council member gets an opportunity first to make their nominations, and then I as mayor have to choose from their nominations and make the final recommendations, which is on the agenda tonight. That's what you see as a final slate. And so it's not easy, especially now where we have an abundance of applicants and a limited number of seats. So before, the issue was trying to get folks to serve and fill the seats. Now we're in the dilemma where there's more applicants than there are seats available. So now it's a completely different issue. But I think there are solutions for that. So with the Planning Commission specifically, I nominated everyone because I think you're all qualified. I firmly believe you're all qualified. You have extensive resumes, and specifically for the three primary members, one from District 2, which is Mr. David Zeitz, District 1, which would be Mr. Darrell Terrell, which months ago I publicly said that Mr. Darrell Terrell should be serving on the Planning Commission. Now the day has come when he's finally being nominated for that. And then from District 3, Mr. Erlan Gonzalez, who is a former alternate planning commissioner. And And then we have Ms. Nikki Taylor, who I've had the chance to interview. I interviewed all applicants, including Ms. Nikki Taylor. And today's the first time that I think we formally meet, so it's very nice to see you in person. Thank you for being here with us. And same, extensive resume, qualified, and that's why I nominated all four of you. Now, of course, if you look at the list, Ms. Nikki Taylor is for one of the alternate positions. So again, I find myself in a situation where I want all of you to serve, and I have to figure out how the pieces are going to fit. And so, I think just one thing that kind of differentiates the three that I nominated as primary is just off of my personal experience that, the years that I've been here, I've seen those three members, here time and time again. And so it's nothing against anyone else. Again, you all have highly qualified resumes. It's just, Mr. Gonzalez served previously on the Planning Commission. Mr. Zayas has been here for years and has been active here at the council meetings. And then same thing with Mr. Darrell Terrell. He's been here time and time again, and I'm sure Ms. Nikki Taylor, you will do that as well. So, it's a decision that we're gonna all have to make together. And I want to make sure that we figure this thing out because all of those that are nominated should be serving on the boards and commissions. So now it's a matter of figuring out, what that final list is going to look like. And, the list that I proposed, I think, is the most appropriate. But, this is not a one-man show. It is a team effort. So we're going to figure this out here before we take a vote. So I have no issue with the list as is, 100% fine with that. But again, we're going to all talk about it more and figure it out together. So I do see Councilmember Bernard, your hand raised as well. We can go to you next here.
So I just want to point out, I'm fine with the list as presented as is. There were a few of my people that were reappointed. I will say this, as everyone has stated about Genevieve, it could be the way she does her makeup, but I liken her to a fairy. She really, no, she's sweet. She really is. She just comes in and she's a force to be reckoned with. That's why I say I liken her to a fairy. She sprinkles a little dust and off she goes. For Planning Commission, one of the issues that we did have, and we talked about this, I think before we went on break, was that we had a lack of commissioners. People were going on vacation. Somebody had stepped down. So I say that to say to Ms. Taylor, that the alternate position is not a position to take lightly because we wound up in a situation where we had no alternates and we were struggling. So I don't look at the alternate position as like you may never get called up because you would be very surprised how quickly you may get called up to the big leagues. So I personally am fine with the list as is. I'd like to congratulate Dr. Carson for being reappointed. Riley, who is just, that kid is just everything. If when you have kids, when they grow up, if they're half as good as Riley, your kid's gonna be perfect, trust me. And so I personally have worked with Arzil, and he's very nice, very, very kind. Actually, when I was on Arts Commission, I chaired it, and he was my co-chair, and he was very sad when I left because that left him in a predicament to have to manage the things. So I think him understanding the need and letting somebody that he knows is more focused on the arts come in is the most noble thing that he can do, and I wouldn't expect anything less from him. So these seats are all fine with me. I'm glad that everyone, like the mayor said, is applying. We were running at vacancy levels pretty high with no quorums, but every commission has something, and we were having regular meetings, and so I'm very excited. It was bumpy getting here, but we're here now, and we're just going to keep pushing forward. So thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you all for speaking up on everyone's behalf. And yes, David, I know the East Enders need to be represented, and so I would like to hear your voice at the table also.
Thank you, Council Member. And I do see Mayor Pro Tem here again.
So if the slate is going to be approved as is and Mr. Zeitz is going to be appointed, I just want to let everybody know I did speak to him and told him that we would be watching because you're from my district, and I'm like someone told me early on when I was up here. You're watching me. I'm going to be watching you to make sure that you are fair and equitable because our city deserves that. Our city deserves fairness. If you are appointed, if Mr. Zeitz is appointed, just know that I've already spoken to him.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And if there are no further council comments or deliberation, and as I say that, I see a hand raised by Councilmember Banca Santa Cruz.
I'd be remiss if I didn't try. So I'd like to motion to exchange alternate. I see a lot of support for Mr. Zeit, so I'd motion to appoint Nicole Taylor as the regular member and Erlen Gonzalez as an alternate member, and make one change to the slate as it is, and I'm seeking a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, and I'll make an alternate motion to approve the slate as presented on the city council agenda here tonight.
And I'll second.
And there is a second as well for both of those.
And I'll second the mayor's.
We're going to need some clarification just to make sure we get this right. So the for the Arts Commission, well, is Alleman going to replace Beeson?
Yes, Alleman is.
Beeson's going to become the alternate.
Yes.
And then Alleman become a regular member.
Yes,
That's
that's the
correct,
way
yes.
it's written. The only change, and it's already written like that. The only change would be on page 2 at the bottom on Planning Commission. It alternate the last 2 lines. Appoint, column 4 says position. It would change regular member and alternate member on the last 2 lines, Erlen Gonzalez and Nicole Taylor. And there's a second.
So that's
And-
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz's motion. Her motion is to
Make one
switch those 2 individuals that she identified for the Planning Commission. And there's a second for that by Mayor Pro Tem. And then I subsequently presented an alternate motion to accept and confirm the slate as is currently on the agenda. And there was a second for that by Councilmember Marquez.
Okay, so we have to vote on that.
The alternate
Have to
motion
vote,
first.
Yes.
Okay. So if we could, yeah, on the screen, if we could just double check and make sure that the alternate motion is on the screen for a vote first, please.
Shall we take a voice vote for each one of those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's do the first one with
And-
council
and
member.
Again, this is the alternate motion first.
Yeah,
No.
for your motion or,
Yes, for my motion. It's the alternate motion goes
Okay.
first.
so for the alternate motion, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz,
No.
Councilmember Marcus, Councilmember Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Delgado,
No.
and Mayor Cabrera.
Yes.
Okay, so 2 yeses.
That passes
I
with
mean,
3 yeses
pardon me,
and 2
3
noes.
yeses and 2 noes, right?
Yeah, and the original motion essentially gets canceled out. So, okay, well, congratulations to all of the newly confirmed members of our boards and commissions. A hand to you. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm hearing that it may be appropriate to take a break at this time, so we'll take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back in just a moment. Back to our regular city council meeting. We are back from our recess. So we will pick up where we left off. We had just concluded item A6, and we had one other item that was removed for separate action. That's item A7 from the consent calendar. So first, we will have council questions of staff. If you have any questions, please hit your speaker button. Okay, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
Thank you. Hi. The reason I pulled this item, the discretionary expenditures, is first, it doesn't look like the July numbers are out yet. It seems like the same report that we received last time. We're midway through August, and I've seen recent public information requests come in, and one of them was for our travel. Why are we not reporting out the travel so that the public doesn't have to request our travel expenses? We could just report out the travel we're making. And another reason that we should do that is, by law, if we use public funds to travel, we're supposed to report out on those conferences. And that, Roy, is something I learned at the League of Conferences, which is a very educational conference. But we do need to report out those. And a second public information request that I saw come in recently was regarding credit cards. Now, as far as I know, none of us up here have a credit card issued to us. So if we do, could you please let us know? And where is that reported at? Like, anything that we're using that's public funds, I think should be reported not monthly if it doesn't, I see this as like every so often, but if we could also report discretionary funds, travel funds, and either like no credit cards exist, or if we use a credit card, that it get reported and shown to the public.
Brian, would you like to take that one, or anyone else? There was a couple questions in there.
Yeah, as this was the city clerk's item, I'll let her try and answer what she wants to answer, and then if it gets into policy debate and so forth, I can take it from a policy perspective.
Okay, sounds good, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Councilmember Baca, Santa Cruz, the travel will not come out of the discretionary account. Now, if it's something, I've seen travel in other cities where they would report out, every time they had a council member, they would report out and say what they attended. They traveled to a certain conference or whatever. They would report that out during their reports. I have seen that, but I don't think we do that here. Now, anything to do with the Cal cards, those are, if any of the council member has Cal card, those are reported on the warrant register. I believe that's where it's at.
So it's just somewhere else?
Pardon?
It's just somewhere else in the
it's not in this.
Oh, do we have,
Yeah.
Any of us have Cal cards?
Yeah, there's one council member that has a Cal card. But, yeah. So the travel is not reported in this discretionary. It's not reported there.
Is that something that we can do? Is, like I
No,
said,
it's
do a
something-
discretionary and then a secondary, a travel expense, and because I know that I asked to attend a conference and I was told that I had used up all of my travel funds, but then it was realized that that conference was in July, which was a new fiscal year. So, at least at the end of the fiscal year, to report the travel funds that we have, and then are those carried over, or do they just use it or lose it type of funds? Because I see here that we carry over our discretionary.
Yeah. Brian, I'll defer to you regarding the travel.
Okay, just to clarify, council discretionary funds is per policy 3.07. So if anything that you decide in the future, most likely is going to be a policy amendment or revision. So council discretionary funds are allowed to be carried forward per the policy. It also states in the policy how much you guys actually get on an annual basis. Council gets equal amounts, except for the mayor gets an additional amount. It also defines the fact that it needs to be reported on a monthly basis. Due to the fact that you are currently coming back from summer recess, June wasn't being able to be reported at the last June 15th meeting. So they are reporting June now. July will soon be reported in 9/5 or a 9/19 meeting, whether it be the first or second meeting, depending on when her staff is able to get that ready. The travel expense, the reason why travel expenses do not get reported separately at the dais is due to the fact that the policy 3.06, travel and related businesses, do not require that it get reported in a separate report like discretionary report. The one thing that it does state is that if council is going to travel and training, they should, it is incumbent on you to report it out in your closing comments. It is not incumbent on the council office or city clerk to report it for you. The Cal card is what you're calling city credit card. The Cal card policy is a different policy under FMS. That basically states that anyone that is deemed to need a Cal card for business purposes could request a Cal card. The amounts and so forth are approved by me. But it also requires the incumbent of any Cal card to sign the agreement as well as sign that they've received the policy, read the policy, and will adhere to the policy. Are there any other questions related to what I say?
Not at this time. I'll let my colleagues chime in.
Thank you very much, staff. And do we have any further questions for staff on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on item A7?
Just a moment, Mayor. We have one, Roy Bleckard.
Okay, and there will be 3 minutes for this item.
Ms. Baca, we don't need the Cal League of Cities to tell us what to do is right. The reason I brought this up, and you can ask Pete, you can go back 30 years down to Marie Gallant and credit cards and the whole issue of that. But Brian kind of laid it out a little bit that it's incumbent on you. My impetus for doing this is putting it, either you could put it in with the discretionary funds or doing a simple accounting that we have. As you come up with a quarter, then everybody sees every expense that the council members have done, travel expenses, meals, so we're not having these discussions. My acronym SEE, simple, efficient, effective. That's the reason for bringing this up, so we have that. We can look at it in most cases, in 98.7% of the time, it's going to either eliminate or diminish a lot of the charges or this and that. We can go right there, boom, we know where it is to find it. It's simple, we don't have to run through 10,000 pages of the warrant register to find, that you might have charged a $20 meal at wherever. So that's the reason for me bringing this issue to the forefront on that. And I think it's just a matter of making these things more efficient on the consent calendar, on the agenda. It's just like, one of my other little deals is, on the agenda, put each individual agenda packet item on each agenda item so you don't have to run through 10,000 pages again. These are all very simple reforms that we can make that we don't do, and this is the reason why you see a lot of what you see. This stuff is not rocket science. It's really very simple to figure out. Again, a ditch bank Okie from Edgemont can figure this stuff out. I don't know why all these PhDs and this with all their degrees and all this experience and that cannot do these very simple things. I'll leave you one last thing. We had this when Tom Owings was mayor and Stephanie come in, And we had the same thing. You had 10 minutes, they would give you this stack of papers of this of the agenda, and you had to read it and make public comments. I said, you know, why can't we just put the PDFs on there when you post the agenda and we have them? He looked at then former Assistant Mayor Tom DeSantis and said, can we do that? And he said, yeah. Next meeting, it was done. We don't have to make a complicated jigsaw puzzle. Instead of going from A to B, that we go clear to the North Pole and South Pole and back. Let's get it done. Let's get it right so we can move forward.
Madam Clerk, do we have any other requests to speak on this item?
No other comments.
Oh. Sorry, Luis Palomares, community activist. Okay, as far as what Roy says.
Give us just one moment. Although if there isn't a... Have you submitted a speaker slip, Ms. Palomares?
Who did I give it to? Yeah, I gave a speaker slip.
Okay, it's
Roy
not
put it in for
it's
me.
not that big of a deal. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
As far as the discretionary funds, Luis Palomares, community activist. Yeah, it's not rocket science. Just what Roy said. I agree with him. Last city manager DeSantis talked about it, and they did it. So we need to do that. We want to know what's going on. We want to be transparent as possible every quarter or whenever they do it. Also, as far as the traveling, we gotta know how much money is on traveling. We gotta know the credit card. Who's got the credit card? One person, what person, and why? Why? I would think all of them would have a credit card then. Maybe I'm going off to the right here. Could be. So as far as what Roy says, I agree with him. We got to be more transparent. We got to, look at this and we got to change it up because we want to know. The people want to know. Where's the money going? Who's got the credit card? And what's going on with the travel and the discretionaries? Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk, are there any more speakers on this item?
There are no more speakers, Mayor.
Okay, and I don't see anyone else at the podium, so we will go ahead and conclude public comment on item A7. That brings us next to council deliberation if desired. I do see a request here from Councilmember Bernard.
So are we able to report out, I know we report what we went to the conference for, but are we able to give an agendized item or an accounting of how much a hotel room cost, how much the ticket was, or the expense of the plane ticket if need be? Are we able to start including that in a report so that the public knows how much is being spent on travel expenses?
Councilmember, I think it would be fairly easy, but staff would need to be directed by council, a majority of the council, to alter our quarterly budget reports that Lana in the Financial Resources Division prepares for you for your review and approval. Each of you have your own org sets or separate accounts. So there is a separate accounting for all of you that we can easily show your travel and training, your discretionary spending. Unfortunately, without a policy change to the discretionary policy that I mentioned before, we're still going to have the standalone discretionary report. But what I am stating is that we could go ahead and potentially include separate council reports that just show on a quarterly basis what your expenditures are for each of your individual org sets or your what we call districts. And then the mayor has his own separate org set for running the entire city.
So I don't know how the rest of my colleagues feel about that, but I do feel for transparency purposes, because it is what the public's requesting, and I do think they should know how much things cost. They need to know if we bought a first class ticket to fly to New York when we should have bought coach. That's just me personally, because it is their money and they should know where that money's going. I do think that there needs to be a discussion about having that done as just a part of the report, just as we have our discretionary funds and what we spent it on. So.
Thank you, Councilmember, and I agree. I think it's something that we can easily do. I know it might take a little bit of work with staff, but it'll probably save time also with public records requests in the future. So I have no issue with putting that as similar to our items on our consent calendars, when it comes to discretionary funds, we could do something exactly the same, but for travel expenditures. So I have no issue with that. And I would make a motion to add that to our next agenda.
So is it a policy change for policy 3.06, travel?
It wouldn't require policy change for 3.06 or 3.07 or 3.09 procurement section 7, which is CalCard. It literally would just be a quarterly report that would accompany the entire budget to actual packet. And if you recall, as part of the CIP approval, we are modifying the CIP update to council as well. And so from a budgetary perspective, you get the adopted budget along with the CIP budget that will be coming towards council every quarter. And we could just do a quick report that shows, it could be called council transparency reporting. And it would have all of your org set accounts and budget versus actual. Now, the details as to each of those particular items is what I'm going to need also motioned, because I can give them, I can give transparency at an account level that just shows your budget of 10,000 and you spent 5, we're good. It's the detail and so forth that I'm hearing that you're also wanting. Most, okay.
Yeah, I think I would say to be as broad as possible, the motion would be to add an item to our next council meeting agenda, to add an item to all future agendas that would describe and break down the city council's travel expenditures, similar to our discretionary and we can figure out the details at that council meeting, but
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to put into a motion.
I have an idea as to what that staff report would look like, because I think I can give you some recommendations. Maybe we just alter policy 306 and be able to do a monthly report, very similar to the 307 discretionary. And then that way, for the budget office, wouldn't need to do anything on a quarterly basis.
Exactly. So I'll make that motion, and I'm seeking a second for that.
Second.
Okay. There's a second there. If we could please vote.
Want a voice vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Marcus? Councilmember Bernard?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Delgado?
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera?
Yes. So that passes, and that'll be added to our next council agenda for discussion and for a vote. Okay. And we are still on deliberation. Would any other council members like to make any comments before we entertain a motion on this? Okay. Seeing no further comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve item A7.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
All right. Motion and a second. And would you like us to do a voice vote, Madam Clerk? Oh, we're going to vote on the screen. Okay, thank you. I know we're changing things up on you today, but there we go. All right, so that's unanimous 5-0. So item A7 is concluded there, which brings us to the last action item on the agenda, which is H, General Business, H1, approve agreement with the law offices of Quintanilla and Associates to discharge the duties of city attorney and designate Stephen B. Quintanilla as city attorney. And we have a report from our city manager.
Mr. Mayor, at this
Yes.
point, may I excuse myself so it does not appear I'm trying to influence anyone? on
Yes,
this
sir.
issue?
Yes, sir. We'll give you a moment
Thank you.
and honor that request. Okay, so let the record reflect that currently interim city attorney Quintanilla has left the room, and we will go ahead and proceed with the report from the city manager's office.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, MPT, council members. If you recall, at the June 20th council meeting, which was our last meeting before we went to recess, there was a motion that was approved by council to bring an item back that in essence just removed the word interim out of the interim city attorney's contract. for legal services. So as I was directed to do so, the staff report before you, along with the red line version of the interim city attorney agreement and the black line version, literally removes the word interim in section 1, section 2A, and there was one additional revision that I needed to make within the agreement because section 13, which is titled as city agent, listed the previous mayors by name. And so I removed the name and now it's just the mayor. So that the way in the future, if there are amendments or anything that council would like to do, at least this lives on in perpetuity. Other than that, there have been no changes to the structure of the agreement, the agreed upon negotiated items. Everything is the same except for the 3 sections in which I just stated that I made a revision. With that, I am available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Brian. So next we have council questions of staff, and first up we have Mayor Pro Tem Delgado.
And Brian, just to confirm that you said nothing changes except whatever you labeled, and just to let everybody know that there's no monetary value change at all. There's no contracts, no money increase or decrease or anything like that.
None at all. And in fact, this particular agreement is with the law offices of Quintanilla and Associates. And what this does is it discharges the duties of the city attorney, and you are in essence designating the city attorney as Stephen Quintanilla.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Any further questions for staff? Seeing none, we will go ahead and move to the public comment portion of this item. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
Yes, Pete Bleckard, Bob Palomares, and Luis Palomares.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I approve that you do approve the city attorney as permanent. But I'd like to make a little comment. Why we got here from this deal was because we had 2 up there. We're mad because they didn't get their LaDonna up on the council. They decided that the people of Edgemont have no right to vote for somebody. They get to appoint somebody they want. So they couldn't have their way. So we went through this whole motion. A lot of money's being spent with everybody being here and working extra just for this little commotion. So why this even got here is way beyond my imagination, because 2 people had to have their little tantrum up there. So I nicknamed them my names, because I'll all give, and when someone does them, I have to give them names. So I appointed you God of the city along with your disciple. You get to make the choices for everybody in this city. So that makes you perfect, and that's the way it goes. It's been like this ever since we started a city. You get power hungry, and you think you have a right to tell everybody else where to go pound salt.
The next 3 speakers are Bob Palomares, Luis Palomares, and Roy Bleckard.
Good evening again. I got a question here. First of all, Mr. Quintanilla has I don't know if anybody's seen his resume. And I know somebody once said, maybe we can get an attorney for a lot less, saving the city money. Well, would you go look for a doctor in the alley if you were sick? I don't think you would. But my question is that you got to keep him. He knows where all the bodies are buried. And plus, there's 2 council members up there that might need him later. But my question is, Marcus was on a talk show about a month ago where he showed great prejudice against the attorney. Now, I don't know if he has to recuse himself because he's showing that he don't like this guy. And he spoke it in public as a public official. So I think his vote shouldn't count because he made it public on a public show, talk show. So, and that's a legal question, and I don't know. I'm just bringing it up because I heard it, and there is a video out there to confirm that. So, thank you.
The next speaker is Luis Palomares, followed by Roy Bleckard.
Luis Palomares, community activist. Yeah, like, why are we here doing this? When this attorney has saved our butts so many times. So many times. Okay, now we're going to make them, instead of, oh, golly, I lost my train of thinking. But it's a good thing. We need him. He's a class act. He's a great guy. He cares about the community and the city. And like Mayor Cabrera said, Ulysses Cabrera said, wow, maybe we could get more bang for the buck. It wasn't even about that. It was about the revenge thing. Because he has set straight in motion what we need to do, the right thing for the city, the right thing about a violation of the Brown Act. He kept us out of a lot of stuff that we could have been, and how much money have we wasted and spent? Because Marcus and Cabrera, how much money? He's worrying about saving the city some money? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? I don't believe that one. Saving the city some money. He's cost us a fortune along with David Marcus here. And he said, I might not be here at the next meeting. Well, I said, I don't believe that until I see it. They said, stay on here. We need your vote. We need you to be here to do all the other stuff we got to do as far as the way we want to do it. The agenda, the personal agenda that Ulysses Cabrera has and Marcus, And then as far as, wow, I better just leave it at that. But thank you, and I hope we get hey, we're on the right track here, and let's just do what we got to do for all the right reasons, for the community, the taxpayer, and the people, and the staff. Gee, the staff, when's the next shoe gonna fall? Why do they have to work under those kind of conditions? Like, I mean, they never said it, but I almost could feel it sometimes. Why did our city attorney have to worry about this stuff when he has not done anything wrong and everything right for the community and the city and us, the people, and to save, I won't even go there, but to save us, the council members, a lot of pain and agony. So here we go. Thank you, and let's make it work. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Roy Bleckard.
Back on the October surprise, Q was right when the chips were down. So that should add a lot of credibility to his legal expertise and the legal advice he has given. But let's explore, and we're doing this. Why are we here? People are asking this question. Well, let's give a little refresher of the memory. The mayor proffered this few months ago, and again, who's minding the store, who's putting this stuff together? Because I said back in those days, and I wasn't necessarily opposed, if we're going to explore a different option, whether interim, permanent city attorney contracted out, let's put all the options on the table, let's look at it, because there is no one perfect way or one way of doing it. There's advantages and disadvantages to all of these things. But again, and I hope, and maybe you'll address it, and maybe you'll address it under oath like you should, why we're sitting here and why we're not getting the answers we deserve as people of what happened back then. 100%. That could stop, like everything else, that could stop a lot of what we're doing. So, in amongst this, and when it came up, at least 3 members proffered to make the current city attorney change the title for interim to permanent. Which, how many times have we had people come up here and, Steve Quintanilla is interim attorney, and try to create an atmosphere that something's going on or this and or that. That's why, at least at this point, If you're going to do it, and if you're going to keep Steve Quintanilla of that, then let's just make it permanent and be done with it. If you want to put a proper agenda, report, analysis, comparative to what other cities do, then put that proposal forward and we'll have the public debate. This is why we have the reputation we have. Maybe the email I sent you today might change a few minds or shed a little light, because if you don't, and you don't get on the stick, we're going to miss another opportunity to become the best we can be, and maybe even a state leader in this area.
That concludes public comment, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So that brings us now to council deliberation. If any council members would like to make a comment, please hit your speaker button. First up, we have Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. Several years ago, I had a conversation with Steve, and I asked him about coming on as a full-time attorney, and he says he didn't want the job. So he was asked several years ago, and he didn't want the job. Second of all, maybe I should not vote on this issue because of the litigation that's going on with the city and myself. I'll leave that up to the mayor or staff, Mike Lee or Brian Mohan, if I should step down or step out and not vote on this. I've been advised by my attorney that he's going to leave it up to me, but I'm going to leave it up to the mayor, Mike Lee or Brian Mohan. Again, my conversation with Steve on that event back in October several years ago, these people, I have no idea what was in that conversation. I do. And I know exactly what happened and what was said. But also stop and think of one thing. Look at somebody's background and see what it looks like before you vote on something. Thank you.
Okay, and staff, if you care to chime in.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council Member. As risk manager for this particular city, I would tend to agree with Council Member. It probably would be in your best interest due to the current litigation that's going on.
Okay, thank you, Brian. So we'll give Councilmember Marquez just a moment to leave the room, and then we will continue with the deliberation. Just a moment. Okay, so we'll go ahead and continue now with the deliberation, and next up we have Mayor Pro Tem Delgado.
I just want to reiterate the fact that he as in Steve Quintanilla, just received a performance evaluation from this body, and it was all meets standards. So his performance here is sufficient, and I think it's just above sufficient. So I just wanted to bring that back as a reminder that his performance evaluation was just completed this year, and we all agreed that he was at an acceptable level. He was performing at an acceptable level. So.
Thank you. Next up, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
I don't know what Steve said 7 years ago or what he was doing 7 years ago, but I spoke to him within the last month, and he is interested in becoming the permanent city attorney and agrees to this if we move forward. So he is on board.
Okay. Would any other council members like to make any comments or any deliberation? Okay, I don't see any other requests here. I will just say briefly that, I think anyone who's been watching our meetings has, seen various projects and events that have transpired here within the city. And, although the city attorney and I and some of the council members have had differences in the past, you know, I think at the end of the day, we're cordial, you know, and we're respectful toward one another, and we could get things done, you know. So I meet with Steve on a regular basis. You know, we go over certain items, projects in the city. So there's no, you know, we have a good working relationship. I'll leave it at that. And yeah, if the majority of the council wants to move forward and make him permanent, definitely, I think most of us are tired of seeing the just interim in front of his name. So I'll leave it there, and I'll entertain any motion by the council.
I'll motion to approve the word interim removed from Quintanilla and Associates to be our permanent city attorney.
I second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote. And can we do a voice vote, Madam Clerk, just since District 3 is not here at the dais?
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz,
Yes.
Councilmember Bernard,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Delgado,
Yes, ma'am.
and Mayor Cabrera.
Yes. And for the record, Councilmember Marquez's vote, will that count just as a recusal or an abstention for Councilmember Marquez?
As he left the dais, it would be a recusal.
Recusal. Okay. So let the record reflect that that motion passes with 4 yeses and 1 recusal by Councilmember David Marquez. Okay. So if someone could let the council member know that he can.
And Steve.
And Steve,
I just
please.
text Steve. We'll get the council member as well.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Alrighty. So we've got our permanent city attorney, and Councilmember Marquez is coming back up to the dais. So we will go ahead and move on. We're getting close to the end here. Next on our agenda is item I, reports, city council reports, and I think we have several here. So just bear with us, a few very good updates here. First up, I think we have one update from the March Joint Powers Commission by Mayor Pro Tem Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight I'm providing an update from the March Joint Powers Commission meeting held on Wednesday, August 9th. We received a report by JPA's interns regarding development of shade structures at the Meridian South Campus Dog Park. It was amazing. We voted to support revisions to job classifications for 3 positions that are changing as the JPA sunsets. Finally, we established a policy of military priority for housing at Green Acres. That concludes my update on the last March Joint Powers Commission meeting held August 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And next up, we have the Riverside County Habitat Conservation Agency. And will somebody be giving that report? Yeah. Oh, Councilmember Bernard.
So we had our RCHCA Board of Directors meeting on August 10th of 2023, and the City of Moreno Valley has collected a total of $59,550 in SKR mitigation fees as of June 30th of 2023, and this concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next, we have RCTC, and I'll be giving a brief report on that. So the RCTC meeting on July 12th, just a couple of updates. The commission heard the presentation of fiscal year 23-24 Transportation Development Act Article 3, SB 821, call for project, and approved the funding recommendations. The commission celebrated the Freeway Service Patrol 30th anniversary. The program has assisted more than 1 million motorists. That concludes my report on the last RCTC meeting. Next, we have a report from the Riverside Transit Agency by Councilmember Marquez.
Yeah, very quick. Tonight I'm providing updates from the RTA Board of Directors meeting held on June 22nd. The board had a presentation of the University Pass, which is referred to as UPass program, and authorized staff to renew the revenue agreement for 2024. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And we have 3 reports. I believe these are all from Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz for WRCOG, RCA, and the School District Joint Task Force.
I have 2 meetings that we've attended for WRCOG. I'll do those first. I have a meeting from the Western Riverside Council of Governments Executive Committee meeting. We met on June 29th as the General Assembly. That was held over in, what's that, Pachanga? And it brought together many of the participating agencies along with a lot of staff, and we were also meeting to approve the agency's fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. And the following day, we had the executive committee meeting, and we had a officer from the FBI come and talk about security, data, and also some best practices for government agencies, because there is a lot of online predators, and they look to take over your system and then ask for ransom to get back into your systems. So there's giving us some best practices and some contacts to get in touch with regarding that. So that was a great presentation made to all of the agencies that participate in the Western Riverside County Council of Governments. Then we met on August 15th, and we covered the executive committee met on August 7th and included an announcement that WRCOG was awarded $421,000 for an adaptation planning grant. And this grant is through the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. And that would conclude my report for the WRCOG. For RCA, we don't meet in August. And then the July meeting, I was at Naleo. So I think Councilmember Marquez attended? The July, you didn't go? No. Okay, so we didn't attend the July meeting, and August is dark.
Okay.
For the Joint Task Force, we did meet today. August 15th, the Joint Task Force includes many participants in our community. We got updates from many of the agencies, including we spoke about funding for school crossing guards, and we were informed that the City of Moreno Valley does cover the cost for crossing guards for schools in Moreno Valley that are in both Moreno Valley Unified and Valverde Unified. We spoke about the new school, Moreno Elementary School, and the traffic control improvements that the city is asking that the school district make to make sure that that school is in a safe environment for our students. We also met with the police department, and they spoke about the first day of school traffic, a lot of visible motors out there. They also announced that we do have 4 vacancies in our motor patrol, and some of those vacancies are hard to fill because of the recent loss that we had in Harupa, and one of our motor officers. So a lot of families are thinking that it's not the best place for their loved ones. So we've got to really think about the motors and keep them make sure that we're vigilant about watching for motorists, especially our officers on the motors. And also that they're integrating the social media platforms to really get information out to the residents, and we're seeing positive responses to the increased presence of the police officers, especially close to the schools. Transportation Department spoke about the right turn arrows on Paris Boulevard, and that we're currently working with our contractor, so please be patient. We're working on that, as well as continuing our pavement project, so that's taking place. Parks and Community Services announcing some of our upcoming events, such as El Grito, Day of the Dead, Veterans Art Show and Contest, and our first ever Color Run Fun. Think Together is an after-school program funded by the city, and they have vacancies at all of the elementary schools. So if you know any parents that are trying to get after-school care and before care, they offer them meals and free before and after-school care at the school sites, and they report that they have availability at all the sites. Dr. Kidziora invited us to 2 ribbon cuttings for Moreno Valley Unified, including the Moreno Elementary School on August 22nd and Valley View High School STEAM Building on August 29th. Valverde Unified informed us that they have used some of their money to create a new community laundromat. It sits on their school property. It's a free laundromat for students, families, and their residents. So they were told that their first priority is for anybody that has students in the district, and their second priority, so it's not just cut off right there, would be community members in the area. So they are offered, provided with free detergent and other supplies. They have they said that they did an study and there was no laundromats within their school district available at all for charge or free. So they decided that they were going to take that upon themselves and provide that. So they're doing up to 400 loads to date so far. It's available Tuesday through Saturday, and they also have a space where the students are available to take clothing. So they're able to take 5 items of clothing every week, and also underwear and socks. And those items are unlimited. So as much socks and chonies they said they could take, they could have them all. So that's the community closet down in Valverde Unified. The police from Valverde also gave us some updates and invited us over to their community event Nightmare on Morgan Street on October 11th. They also have funded $1.5 million on new camera systems, and they're on the school property, but some of them have long eye, and that our officers have reached out to them and asked for some video, and we've been able to solve some crime by working together. They've rescheduled their annual August active shooter event to December due to the heat, so look out for that. The Lake Paris came over and gave us some updates. Their junior lifeguard program, which I'm a graduate, was held this summer and had over 62 residents, and it teaches life-saving skills as well as a summer program where the kids come and learn about the Lake Paris. And very exciting, the Regional Indian Museum has received $2.5 million, and they'll be using this to renovate that museum there at Lake Paris over the next 2.5, 3 years. So that's exciting. The Board of Supervisors also gave us an update that Supervisor Gutierrez now has a District 5 podcast available on Spotify and Apple Music, so make sure to listen to that. And also, they have a lot of board and commissions openings as well. That will conclude my report on the Joint Task Force meeting held today.
Thank you. So that brings us next to the closing comments from the council, and we'll start off first with Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
Okay, had a lot to do this summer. I spent Fridays in City Hall meeting with residents, doing ride-alongs. I did a ride-along with the CBAT team. That is our community behavior assessment team, and that partners an officer with a licensed therapist, and we did go on 3 calls that day, and the services that are provided through this partnership, the only thing better than that are the officer and therapists that have been selected. These people are amazing. They're perfect fit for the job, the perfect demeanor to deal with the types of situations that they're going out there to do. It's follow-up. It's a lot of really caring about the community. It really takes a special someone, and I really commend whoever's selecting these team to go out there. It's a wonderful program, and I hope that we can soon get the other 2 that we've funded filled. I also did some ride-alongs with Code, and I hope that you've noticed that Sunnymead Boulevard has the aesthetic is just so much better. It's like flipped all around. Our code compliance has been out there meeting with the business owners, asking them to put in greenery, to fix their signs, to make sure there's no trash. So Sunnymead Boulevard is really looking good, and I hope that you're noticing it because our code compliance officers are out there daily. They're out there, they're sending me pictures of when they're coming to the where they're going and what they're doing, the cleanup, and they're really out there doing the best that they can, and I really hope that it's visible, the change. And soon you're going to be seeing the monument of Sunnymead being repainted, so I'm really excited to see that come to fruition. I've been asking for that for a while now. A15 approved the consent, has allocated $70,000. $15,000 would be to each district to do a art project, and that'll be coming through our Arts Commission. So I look forward to seeing what the Arts Commission comes and brings to us for each of our districts. So for D1, the placement will be the CRC. So I look forward to that. We attended the 4th of July Movile movies. I was able to come out here and see the Black Panther. We saw Movile Rocks, Mariachi's Divas were excellent. It was just wonderful to see them out there performing with so many residents that came out together to join for that. Let me see what else. I also attended the National Night Out. I love attending that. It's such a great event. I almost got one of the explorers in the dunk tank, but I was this far. If we could get the chief in there, I'm sure I could hit that target. Also, I did attend NALEO. It's the National Association of Latino Elected Officials. So that was in New York, and I attended many sessions, including sessions regarding budgetary. One of the ones that I really liked was, where's my thing? Oh, we were talking about the drones, and it was exciting that we're using technology. We're not just there's sometimes that you can get to use technology and to better serve the community, and we're really ahead of the times, and we're out there in front. And I hear that we're being asked about, especially our drone project from the fireworks. So other people are looking at our program, and it's really something to be proud about, really something to brag about, really, that project. And I also wanted to bring up a Senate bill that's moving through legislation. That Senate bill is SB 596, and it's named School Employees Protection. And what it does actually is it takes the existing law, which is where it's illegal to harass a school employee during the while they're in their duties, while they're performing their duties as a school employee. That's illegal as it is. But what this law looks to do is expand that, first the definition of harassment to a lot lower bar, and also to expand the school employee to the boards and commissions. And if this is anything like Baca versus Moreno Valley, which changed the way that people address us at our podium, this can have the same effect and could possibly restrict our residents from coming to us if they're passionate about what they're speaking about, and it could restrict our public participation. And I ask that we stand against anything that restricts the public from coming to us. If we're up here to listen to them, if we're not here to listen to them, what else are we up here for? And finally, I ask that we keep in our minds and hearts our officers that we lost on the fire. The funerals will be on the 21st, next week on August 21st and the 23rd. So also that maybe we could close our meeting in their names. That would conclude my report. Thank you. Well, actually, I missed one final thing. No. I have a community event, community engagement event coming up on August 23rd from 5 to 6:30 at the Towngate Community Center. Please join me.
Mayor, on the agenda on item I3, I think you left our city manager's report out, and I think it's very critical that and very important that he does speak.
Yes, absolutely. I do apologize. I definitely moved a little too quickly there and skipped over accidentally the famous city manager's report. So at this time, I want to give the floor to our city manager, Mr. Mike Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Marquez, for pointing that out. But I'm going to keep it really short. First of all, just welcome back from the summer recess. I know that it was a short summer recess, but we're really busy. We had a lot of great programming during the summer event, our summer concert series, and also movie series. Actually, we had record-breaking attendance this year, and also this year we actually approved additional programming for our summer concert and the movie series. So thank you for that support. And then the second thing is this week is also very busy for us because we're having our State of the City. It is a sold-out event, so. Unfortunately, we have no more room left, but if anybody wants to watch it, it's going to be a live cast at 11:30 this Thursday. It's going to be either on a cable channel or Facebook or YouTube channel. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. I appreciate the report. And I don't see any employee association report, anyone from that tonight. So we will continue on with closing comments. And next up, we have closing comments from Councilmember David Marquez.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Well, it's good to be back. And I welcome staff here, all these happy faces. It's great. I want to give a shout out to a department that's very, very close to me, and that's our fire department. Some of you know that my son is a retired CAL FIRE firefighter, And you guys, your department did a great job during these fires that we had. I want to just give you, you know, a big applause for what you guys did out there. We're having a homeless problem around Walmart on Eucalyptus and Moreno Beach Drive. I've had several complaints. I had another one today. A couple of businesses are having a homeless come into their stores and not leaving. A couple of the businesses has closed their doors to walk-in business. And I'm going to meet with Mr. Myers, I believe it is. He owns the property. And I was asking if PD could look into a 602. I don't think anybody realizes if there's one on record for that property. And also Walmart, I'll be meeting with their people because Walmart's property is separate from the rest of the property out there. So I just want the public to know that I'll try to get those doors open. You guys can go in Starbucks and other places to purchase what you need. We had a ribbon cutting on a Sunday, I believe it was, for the new Winchell's donut gas station on Cottonwood and Paris. What I didn't know is it was being televised live in Mexico. And they had a famous actress come in, and she was there, and that's why they broadcasted it in Mexico. And I get calls saying, God, you're a celebrity, you're on TV in Mexico. I'd never been to Mexico. I mean, come on. And they says, I was on TV. But they had a ribbon cutting. You should try that place out. They have a deli, a donut shop, a small little grocery outlet in there, and the gas, and car wash. So stop on by and check out that place. Other than that, it's good to be back, and we'll see everybody later on, and take care.
Thank you, Council Member. Next, we have closing comments from Council Member Bernard.
I won't keep everyone here late. I would like to thank everybody that came out to the 4th of July event. I'd like to thank city staff who was here, tired, stressed out. And me and Jeremy had the task of conducting the parks community meeting the next day. And it literally was Jeremy telling me that we were going to have a meeting he was backdating meetings to like August. It was crazy. But thank you guys for coming out. My kids had a good time. They enjoyed the fireworks. I do want to mention school has started. Some of us are happy, some of us are sad. I, for one, am happy. But I do want to point out that with school starting, traffic times are back up. Please be patient taking your kids to school. Please be aware that we're all in the same stressed out boat trying to get our kids from point A to point B, and just have patience with each other. I've seen some not so nice things on social media about people getting into it. Remember, we want our children to model our behavior, and the only way for them to model that behavior and good behavior is for us to conduct ourselves in such a manner. I also had 2 community meetings, one with code enforcement and law enforcement, where residents can come out and ask any questions they want. I had another one with Parks and Rec as well as Public Works, and I'm actually going to have one this Saturday between 12 and 1 p.m., August 19th, at the Iris Branch Library, where it's air conditioned, because I tried to do one at the park and everyone was a no-go. But that's okay. It's fine. I see you. I hear you. We'll be cool together. And this one, for those people that couldn't make it out during the week, this one will be law enforcement and code enforcement. I invite you all to come in on it. Any questions that you may have to them. This is not my meeting. It's your meeting. I'm there to hear you out, listen to you, and try to help you get some things resolved. I have another meeting coming up on August 30th at 6 p.m., and that one will be Parks and Rec as well as Public Works coming out to that meeting. And homelessness. I, like Councilmember Marquez, have been receiving calls about shopping centers and things like that. We have been trying to work with the property owners and the property managers about filing the trespassing paperwork with us. That's what council member was referring to when he said 602s. We need to have that paperwork on file. So for the residents, we are trying to address it. I also want to point out that when you report to me or any of us that there's an encampment, that you see something, we are sending staff out. City staff is trying to address it. But I literally watched code enforcement come out and clear an area, and within an hour, I saw more people show up. So we are doing the best that we can to clear it out. It is not perfect, but we hear you, and we're going to try to address it the best that we can. And with that, we will see you guys next month. Have fun, be safe, and happy back to school.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next up, we have Mayor Pro Tem Delgado.
I had a lot, but I'm going to yield my time to you, sir. But don't take the whole 10 minutes. Thanks.
10 minutes, got it. No, I'll keep it short. Well, welcome back as well from summer break. It was a shorter one than usual, but it is definitely good to be back and here at the dais. First, want to just mention A8, the $5,000 donation from the March JPA for a Veterans Day art contest. I want to give a shout out to the JPA, Dr. Grace Martin, for making that happen. Look forward to seeing the art that comes out of that for Veterans Day. A15, also the Inland SoCal Creative Corps grant. Hats off to staff, Jeremy, Mike, Brian, everybody, the whole team for making that happen. Again, shout out to Genevieve Aleman for putting that on my radar. And then, in conversation with staff, we decided like what's going to be the best approach and the best application, and we all agreed that putting one mural and dividing up the funding equally, putting one mural in each district would be the best approach. And thankfully, we got awarded the grant. So very soon you'll see 4 more murals across the city, which is exciting. I also had the chance to attend the NALEO 40th conference in New York. That's where they had it this year. Every year they change locations. And I was invited for the first time to be a moderator for one of their panels. And the panel was actually discussing the labor market and trying to figure out different innovative ways to bring folks in and hire folks into city government, because that's something that both public and private sector is having a difficult time with right now, is employee retention and employee acquisition and hiring. So I appreciate NALEO for giving me that opportunity to be a moderator for their panel. Also, that same week, very, very proud to announce that Bloomberg Philanthropies, the city has a long relationship already with Bloomberg Philanthropies. We've been able to do things like the Mobile Learns program, the Mayor's Challenge, and many other things. And that ongoing relationship provided an opportunity for the city of Moreno Valley to apply to be in their program for this year for mayors. And so, only 40 mayors from across the world were selected, and Moreno Valley was one of them. So I had the chance to participate in that program with them, with 40 mayors from across the world, from countries like New Zealand, the Netherlands, South Africa, Brazil, from all over the world. So it was very eye-opening, and I just want to thank Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg, and your team, as well as everyone from Harvard. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity, as well as not just myself, but 2 city executives as well. And I know others here have already been through that program. So I just want to thank Bloomberg and Harvard for giving us that opportunity. Also had the opportunity to attend the Manzanita Village ribbon cutting with Councilmember Marquez in District 3. So that is a facility that already was in existence, but now it has been acquired and has new ownership. So just want to give Manzanita Village a shout out, and want to thank them for having us out there to spend some time with the seniors as well. We had our first inaugural backpack giveaway in conjunction with KYMS. That's Miss Kimberly Taylor from Moreno Valley Unified School District, and Mr. Kuba Brown of Family is All That Matters. It's FIATM for short for Family is All That Matters. And the 3 of us just talked about putting together a back-to-school backpack giveaway, and in less than a month and a half, we were able to secure significant funding from the private sector, got donations, and were able to give out over 1,200 backpacks to Moreno Valley youth. So just want to give a shout out to Kimberly Taylor and Kuba Brown for bringing that idea forward. I'm very, very glad that we were able to collaborate and give out 1,200 backpacks here to Moreno Valley youth. So look forward to doing that every single year from here on out. I also had the chance to attend the MVC SteamCon on Wednesday, August 2nd. So I want to thank MVC for inviting me and having me out there. That was exciting. And before we get to adjourn, I do want to just make a proposal to add an item to our. It doesn't have to be the next city council agenda. It could be the one after that to give staff more time. But I would like to propose that we add an item to our upcoming agenda to explore opening the next satellite library in the city of Moreno Valley. If, for those that are familiar, we now have 3 libraries in the city of Moreno Valley, the main branch on Alessandro, and then two satellite libraries, one in District 4, and then the one at the mall. But the north side of town and the far east end of town do not have any public facilities, no senior center, no rec center, no library. So I would like to propose that, we direct staff to start exploring our options for planning for the next satellite library here in the city of Moreno Valley. So I'll formalize that by making a motion to add that to our upcoming agenda.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So there's a motion and a second, and
Actually, Mayor, you don't need to vote. So
we don't.
once you have a second.
It's just 2. That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. So with that, we will definitely see you at the next meeting. And I do want to close, as requested, this meeting in honor of the 3 lives that were lost from our first responders in a recent fire out east of here. And that was Fire Assistant Chief John Bischoff, Fire Captain Tim Rodriguez, and CAL FIRE Pilot Tony Souza. We will close tonight's meeting in memory of them. And this meeting is now adjourned at 9:12 p.m.
Who won? None of us.